post-break, then they are going to extend the blind levels to 40 minutes. Give these players a little more breathing room in this extreme ICM situation that they find themselves in. This is the Festival Series main event final table, guys. Absolute pleasure to have you with us. And I hope you will continue to join myself, Andrew Headley, and Mr. George Gio Sanford back in the booth after the break. Almost stumbled on my words, Gio. It's time for a cup of tea. It's time for a cup of tea.
But Ignacio isn't waiting for the break. He's opening the threes here.
Wow, he's not scared.
Yeah, completely blockerless play here on the FT. Does have the chip lead, which plays to his strength somewhat, but yeah, not having any kind of interaction with the rejamming rangers behind. Slightly ambitious, but looks like he's going to get through to the blinds.
We just love ambition, though, don't we?
We do.
Kind of love it. For sure, normal, if we say quote unquote, normally you're not going to be opening a hand like this that doesn't block the sort of rejams of players behind. But as we've seen from Ignacio, he's throwing the solvers and the charts and all that nonsense that was created just to keep the poorer Geo. And
exactly.
Just going for it. Love to see it. He's going for the win.
It's a big FU to the ICMizer, isn't it? He is the ICMizer in his world, so good for him. And yeah, just extends his chip lead at the top.
Very interesting, though. He is creeping ahead. 31 bigs is a lot, as we can see at this particular structure. And if he can get himself up over 40 million, could really start to put the hammer down on the rest of the players, knowing that they don't want to get it in. Some big pay jumps, guys. I will refresh you on the payouts when we come back from break.
Shawnee. Ace king to go. And yeah, Vegard's got 5 million here, so 5 bigs, so probably just going to be ripping it in.
Yeah, it does send in the ace king.
Dimitri there with an extremely easy fold.
Nothing to be done with the ace deuce off.
I wonder if Dimitri would have come in for a little three-piece had Sean have opened that up there with the ace-2, an extremely good candidate to put the onus back on your opponent, get some better ace-x to fold, but we don't get to see it.
I think we're just so shallow right now.
Yeah. It's so difficult.
Everyone just sort of has to be honest.
Yeah, you can't really make it sort of 4.5 bigs out of position there. It's just taking the piss, isn't it?
Make it 4.5 bigs and fold and just hate yourself for the rest of the day.
Exactly. Why did I do that? I saw it on TV. It seems like a good candidate. They always have it.
The old acey-deucey.
Oh yeah. The new ace-5 suited, according to my good friend, Mr. Andy Wilson.
Round 2, Georgie. And here we go. Does jam it in, and Ignacio, we know he's here to win. Does have pocket sixes facing the 9 big blind jam. This is the hand before the break. See the other players beginning to leave their seats. Don't expect him to fold, Gio.
No, neither.
Does make the call. Another big flip.
Yeah, we do get
the versus sixes.
We get the pre-break spin. Once again, it's a very classic flip. 53% for the sixes. Does that come into fruition on this occurrence? Can he dodge the ace, the eights, the hearts, the diamonds, the straights? Plenty of scary flops. Ooh, bad news for Ignacio, as Georgie does take a resounding lead here, and he will be left with 2 outs once on the river, and does brick it. So we do go to the break. with the full final table of 8 intact. And it's a crucial double up there for our Hungarian friend in seat 2.
Yeah,
And,
very big double for Georgie, and just like that, back up to 20 million. Ignacio still healthy with 21. Guys, we are going to take a short break. The players are on a 20-minute break. Please come back and join myself and Gio in around about 20 minutes time. We will see you shortly as we continue the journey to crowning the Festival Series main event champ. See you shortly. Hello, everybody. We are back. Refreshed, rested. Myself, Andrew Headley, and Mr. George Sanford back in the booth as you see the players taking their seats back into the mix. This is the final table of the festival series right here at Dusk Till Dawn Card Room in Nottingham. We are still eight-handed, Gio, which I can't quite believe. Stacks getting shallow, decisions getting dicey. Very awkward situation with the distributions. How are they going to handle it, my friend?
Yeah, that's what we've come to see, haven't we? And now we do have this level or two, which is going to sort the men from the boys. And yeah, it's going to be thick and fast. And I can't wait to see what develops. How are you feeling about your pick? I'm pretty confident with Endrit. He's played well and run well when it mattered, and just seems to be navigating it quite well.
Yeah, he does. That was a very interesting hand with the pocket eights that we saw against the King 3. I actually had time to think about it on the break, and even though it can come across as high risk, that strategy at first glance, you know what? We're actually going to come back to this because Dimitri has ripped it on the button.
Oh no, Dimitri.
And wow, Dimitri came in as the chip leader, ripping it in.
Yeah.
Oh, this could be disastrous because Ignacio has the ace queen, and in the small blind, I don't think he can fold.
No chance.
And this is massive. Dimitri came in with 38 million in chips, and all of a sudden could be at risk of being our first player out.
Yeah, very standard push for him. Very standard rejam for Ignacio.
For the first time, Ignacio looking a little unsure. It is going to be for 2/3 of his stack. Did he fold?
No,
Was it a time
I don't
bank?
think so. It must have been a time bank card. It looks like the cards are still there.
Yeah, and in it goes.
Yeah, he does call. Just kind of, it's just one of those things. I think he was always calling, but he's just come straight back from the break, and he knows that he's going to be in a huge spot here. So just kind of taking some time to compose himself. Don't blame him for that. And here we go. Cards on their back, 62-38. How do you feel, boys?
I mean, the good news for Dimitri, he is very live. And that is not a good flop.
What a disgusting flop with the Jack-10. So many ways to connect with the flop and so little hope without even a shed of backdoor equity.
And he drills the Jack of diamonds on the turn.
It was so bad it was good. The most innocuous looking flop, and he backdoors 2 pair.
Finds the hold. Dimitri, back from the brink, was on the precipice of elimination. Would have been one of the most brutal turn of events, coming in as that massive chip leader, and all of a sudden we have said that the chip stacks are very tight. Dimitri back into the chip lead, and Ignacio 10 minutes ago, Gio, he was the chip leader. Now he is the short stack. Absolutely wild final table.
Carnage, indeed. Carnage, exactly. Everything's flying around. Chips are going in. The power and the advantage is changing hands at a rate of seconds, as now Dimitri in the hot seat with the 28 million stack. I believe that takes him into first position with 8 left. It does.
There he is.
Order of the chips in play. Endrit, Georgie, Sean in the peloton, and then you've got the stragglers all around the 10 big blind and under range, which is going to be ferocious over this level at the 1.2 million big blind.
Really just an illustration of how brutal tournament poker can be, especially at a final table like this. Ignacio holds there. He's up to 40 mil or so, looking to take down the title, and all of a sudden in danger of coming 8th.
Yeah, and Vegard as well. Let's not forget. Going through. Oh, we're still on the 500k 1 million. I beg my pardon.
Yeah, so we are going to repeat one level, and then it is going to change to 40-minute blinds after that, Gio.
Yeah, that's a nice adjustment from. That just shows the good running of the festival, I think.
Yeah, I would agree completely.
That it was getting a little bit hairy and potentially at a too fast of a pace, and yeah, just allowing the sort of structure to catch up a little bit. So good stuff from the in-house team. Vegard here. This is tricky. I'm not sure. He
Yeah,
is going to jam. I don't blame him.
think this is fine. You know, obviously we would like to get it in slightly better. Big blind ante in play. We're about to be in the big.
That's it,
and
isn't
yeah,
it?
just shows you like how little things develop. Sean, who has tightened up correctly, did fold the king queen under the gun. So Vegard actually allowed to take this spot, and it's just so big. You're adding 50% to your stack here without showdown, showing that nobody can really call. Even these 5 big blind jams, gonna be tight ranges behind looking you up. Look how tight. It's gonna be nasty, Gio. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be gross.
It's going to be gross, yeah, and just showing the sensitivity to that big blind ante. Without it, the king 10 there for 5 bigs under the gun with the ICM, maybe wanting to let it go, but as you say, knowing that he's going to be down to shrapnel in a couple of hands, does take it, and he's buzzing to get that one through, that's for sure.
Been very impressed with Vegard, taking every spot almost always correctly. We did see him get that king jack offsuit rejam through shallow earlier.
That was very sexy.
Seems to know exactly where he's at with ranges and the like. But guys, welcome along. This is the final table of the festival series at Dusk Till Dawn Card Room in Nottingham. Main event final table time. Up top, £42,500. Lots of money on the line. And it's just so shallow, Gio. It's going to be interesting to see if one player can perhaps win a couple of all-ins, distance themselves from the field with some potential maybe to run it over if they can get above that sort of 50 million mark.
Well, yeah, we've just seen Ignacio try and fail in that crucial spot there, and would have got him to 35 million, which would have been huge. We would have been down to 7. He would have had a resounding chip lead. It wasn't to be, and it's the next person to lay down the gauntlet is going to be the big favorite. That's just how quickly it can change, and it could be any one of these players, everyone with around 7 bigs or more. So the double is going to just be really, really crucial.
Really has been wild. We've seen Vegard swinging stack up and down. Georgie, who made that miraculous escape with the king 3 on the king high board with 10 bigs post against Endrit. Dimitri, who had 38 million all the way down to 13, finding that jack on the turn when he was all in. It really is anybody's game. The stacks are so closely bunched. And now Mark in the cutoff, 10 bigs, got to send the pocket 5s.
Yes, we do.
Michael will be very disappointed that the jam spot has been taken away from him.
Yeah, he would have been very comfortable shoving in that ace-5 suited there on the button. It's all you can really hope for. But with Mark pushing his stack in, he's going to pick up the 2.5 BB, and that's just the unfortunate sort of side effect of card distribution there. If someone does kind of come in and nick your jam spots, it can be really costly and it can be very frustrating. But he's got 10 bigs, and Vegard here kind of contemplating the king 7. Don't think he's going to call, and does make the discipline fold, but maybe a little bit frustrated with the short stack. He's had a couple of chances to get right up there, and unfortunately it hasn't worked out for him. Couldn't fade the ace, deuce, or heart on the river, and he's left in the danger zone.
Been a very big fan of his table demeanor. Actually, looks very comfortable.
Does
showing his experience, just taking his time. Even that king 7 there, obviously at the FT, you want to take your time and make sure you don't make any mistakes, because all the money is on the line. 42.5k for the win, guys. Payouts, I'll just update you briefly. 8th place will take home 4,500. 7th, 5,500. 7,000 for 6th. 9,250 for 5th. Sorry about that little technical difficulty. Hope you can hear me clearly. Up into the 5 figures, 12,600 for 4th, 18.2k for 3rd, 27.2 for 2nd, and 42.5 £1,000 up top. Festival Series final table. Dusk Casino in Nottingham. Cannot believe, Gio, that we are still 8-handed here.
Yeah, this is crazy. Really expected to see some bust outs by now, but they are surely coming. There's unfortunately time waits for no one in tournament poker. And yeah, just the byproduct of everyone being so short, we will see those collisions and it's going to be really crucial. So round 2, Michael here, he's not going to be able to put it in with the ladies' man hand. And yeah, as expected, some fairly honest play. No one really wanting to get in there. And it does come around to Vegard with the 7-3 suited, 5 big blinds effective. Just a little bit too little of hand to jam, I think, there. Endrit isn't a stack that is going to be necessarily hampered if he does make the call and loses. So if he were shoving maybe into a 10 big blind stack, he might actually take the 7-3 suited there. But Endrit, not the sort of player that you're going to expect to make crazy mistakes at a 5 big blind effective spot.
Yeah, he's going to make these correct sort of king rag calls and stuff facing a jam.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, makes a lot of sense.
And Dimitri, fresh off of that double up. King Queen now. It's going to look like a lot of hand for him. Under the gun. Nice easy min raise. Does have good removal for some of the rejamming hands. Kings, queens, obviously ace, king, ace, queen, and the king, queen suited. So just a great hand in terms of finding under the gun for an open.
Yeah, of all the players at the FT, I think Dimitri is one of the most, predisposed to kind of driving action.
Yeah.
Do expect him to put his foot on the gas if he gets hold of some chips. Now, Endrit with a very awkward spot.
What's Endrit going to do here?
I actually think Peel is okay.
Yeah.
Obviously under the gun is going to be fairly honest.
Yeah.
And this is, Endrit peeling here does not mean that he has a weak range by any stretch.
No.
Georgie with a very dicey overcall.
Yeah, just getting a little bit sucked in there by not really understanding how tight the two ranges are he's up against. Sure, Dimitri is the chip leader, but doesn't mean that he's just going to be opening wildly here with all of the 10 big blind rejam stacks behind. So King 7 really paling in significance compared to the sort of hands that you're going to see from this extremely condensed small blind cold calling range from Endrit. And then again, you've got to be worried about that under the gun open from Dimitri as well. So Dimitri finds a nice board where he can represent, and his gut shot there does get a better hand in Endrit's to fold, and Georgie, who was in pretty dicey shape.
Absolutely, Gio. And every pot now really, really huge, even just a c-bet and take it. And Dimitri, you're almost back to where you started, buddy, up to 33 million.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride for him, but
wow.
He has managed to claw his way back to the top, representing OptiBet, one of the Estonian partners. Great to see. And Ignacio here under the gun. Things haven't been going his way. Did have that huge pot for the chip lead. Couldn't hold with the ace queen versus the jack 10. Is rewarded with the boots. First to act.
Are we ever going to lose a player is the question I'm asking. 7.5 bigs. You look down at one ace, rewarded with 2. He's going to be praying to find someone behind.
Yeah, bittersweet because he knows that the jam's going to look so strong, but at the same time, he really needed to pick up a hand fast. So he's going to be over the moon, even if he just gets it through here, which is the most likely outcome.
Yeah, as we can see, But Dimitri, we know he is unafraid to play to win.
Yeah, 7 high versus the end of the gun jam, though. If you
Is
do think
20% of his remaining chips. It is going to be a relatively tight jam range from Ignacio.
yeah, not sure 7-6 is the response that we want here. Does make the fold. Good discipline lay down there. Looks like a pretty hand, but let's just remember Ignacio there under the gun, despite being in the big blind ante next hand, he's not going to be going too out of line. So
Absolutely the case. So Dimitri at 31 million, Endrit, Sean, both on around about 20. Georgie and Mark, and then our three shorties, Ignacio, Michael, and Vegard, in between 5 and 10 big blinds. There has to come a tipping point, Gio, very soon, you would imagine.
absolutely. Thick and fast here at the festival. Lots of dicey encounters that we've had and lots to come. That's just the unfortunate sort of end game of tournament poker. You're playing for all the money, but your stack's not necessarily so big in terms of big blinds.
Does fold to Endra in the cutoff. Potential raise fold hand. Expect him to take it. Comes in for a raise with the ace-9. But Ignacio, you found it again.
Oh my word.
Interesting that he snap jams this hand. If Endrit was ever going to raise call, which he probably doesn't with ace-9, very unlikely to do so now.
Yeah, he knows that Ignacio is capable of rejamming some of the Broadway type holdings, maybe 8s, 7s, 6s, 5s, but not enough compared to all of these hands that have us in jail, the ace kings, the ace queens. Also, as you mentioned, with the slight timing dynamic, Ignacio, who has been going south in terms of his chip stack, just couldn't really sort of handle the all of the emotions of picking up another big hand back to back. So does jam it in quite quickly, and I think that will help Endrit somewhat in his decision.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think if Ignacio does have a marginal holding there, he's never going to snap rifle it in.
No, not playing for this amount, that's for sure. Oh, fold. Okay, I thought that looked like he was sort of pushing a chip forward there, but Endrit, my man and my pick for the win, again dodges a big hand. Did make the ace-x suited raise fold to the 6.5 big blind stack earlier. Now raise folding the ace-9 in a completely different spot, cutoff versus big blind. Very tempting just to flick it in there and pray to see a hand or one of the potential candidates that you're doing okay against. But yeah, the times that you are facing the strong hands in Ignacio's range, you're looking at about 30%. So it's not enough for him. Good lay down, sir.
Does correctly get away from it once more. And Ignacio finding a little heat when he needed it, was down to around about 7.5 bigs, doubling up without showdown. And wow, we are still 8-handed, playing on a 30-minute clock. This is the final level where we will be playing for 30 minutes. And then a little smart tweak and adjustment by the staff at DTD. They have made the next blind level 40 minutes. Will give the players a little more breathing room with these shallow stacks. Guys, if you are just tuning in on Twitch or YouTube, welcome. This is the final table coverage of the festival series here from Dusk Till Dawn in Nottingham. I'm Andrew Headley, joined in the booth by Mr. George Sanford. We are going to be here until the bitter end, the conclusion where we will crown our champion of this edition of the festival series.
Oh, yes. 4 to 25 big blinds. Incredible.
Isn't that the normal distribution of stack sizes you have, Gio, every time you play?
Yeah, filthy nits. Just can't seem to break the 20 big blind barrier, unfortunately. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm missing a couple of spots.
I know you're pretty good at having 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5 preferably. As for big blinds in Hold'em tournaments, usually not an ideal spot to be in, but not been playing for this amount of money so often. And yeah, very excited to see how the guys are going to battle.
Now,
Vegard here.
Vegard with a
Ooh.
very awkward stack size. We did see him send the 4s in from this exact position earlier. I would expect him to send these in also.
Yeah, and Endrit with that kind of dicey spot there, it's going to be about just under a third of his stack, but he's got all of these kind of ranges behind him. I think we're going to see him fold here, to be honest. Maybe if he was sort of in the cutoff or later, he might call, but just too dicey with how bunched the stacks are.
I think that is very fair. If he had 25 million or so, perhaps. It's just so awkward. So many
awkward.
10 big blind stacks behind that if they put it in, you have to call. Very nasty business with the way the stacks are distributed. Vegard, is he going to get another one of these through? I think he does.
Look at the hands he's up against. Michael, the perfect big blind to shove into in many ways, because you're basically putting his tournament on the line as well. But yeah, 3's there. Another brave take from Vegard, who's kind of been dealt a lot of these bottom takes and hasn't shied away from any of them. So that's just the key thing to be able to do when you are on the short stack. There are going to be these spots that do present themselves, and you got to show your mettle and just close your eyes, stick the stack in, and just hope for the folds. And if not, we've still got a hand that can maybe double up with and go from there. Good stuff.
Absolutely right. Another illustration also, just if Endrit wakes up with that hand in the small blind or the big, I'm sure he always flicks it in. Absolutely. With the whole table to act behind, Vegard lives to fight another day. You would imagine that some all-in clashes are imminent, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he'll let the ace-3 go this time.
Does lay it down. Now, Georgie, we know, is unafraid to move the chips. This would be a very ambitious open with the ace-5.
Wouldn't it just? But there are the chips going forward. So it looks like he's going to pop it up to just a shade under 2.1.
I do prefer this open to something like a pair of 6s or 7s in this type of spot. We do hold an ace, which is going to stop a bunch of our players behind from continuing. But even still, very, very thin. But looks like good timing. And indeed, Georgie picking it up. And often in these spots, Gio, with this sort of very awkward stack sizes, the most aggressive player is often going to win. And you got to hand it to Georgie. He's been very active, unafraid to get in the mixer.
Absolutely. Even just an open at this stage with the stacks so bunched can freeze up all of the players behind. Unlikely to see a hand even as big as ace-10 elect to put it in versus that +2 open. So Georgie once again going in there swinging and coming out with the 2.5 BB pickup. He's going to be delighted with that.
And Mark in the cutoff with pocket 3s. Would imagine he will be considering sending it, and he does. Very much a case of who blinks first, And Sean has found the tens. Mark in dreadful shape here. Could be our first elimination. Very unfortunate with 3 players behind. Does shove the threes. He's going to need help or he is going to be our 8th place finisher.
Yeah, really unfortunate there for Mark. He's played a good final table game as well. And as you say, just the byproduct of all the stacks being so short, a completely unavoidable spot for him. And he's going to need a tray and a tray only to keep his festival main event dream alive. Does he find it?
2 outs only. And we do lose our first player at this final table. GG in 8th place, Mark van der Verden, taking down £4,500. Pretty unfortunate, played fine. Just one of those things, Gio. Everybody in that zone now where they're having to shove pre, running the threes into the tens. And we are down to 7 at the Festival Series main FT.
Yeah, and look at some of the smiles from the other players at the table, finally bursting through that barrier of the first elimination of the final table. The pay jump's relatively insignificant now compared to later, but it does just get you that one step up the ladder, which is going to be extremely rewarding and helps them to push forward in their bid to win this title. Vegard there with the 5 bigs. Michael with the 6, both extremely delighted to see that, that's for sure.
Yeah, Mark deciding to take a very thin one. Obviously, we can talk about ICM till we're blue in the face.
Yeah.
He decided to play to win. Could have folded. Stacks are, very bunched. We might want a slightly stronger hand to jam. But, playing to win, what can you say? Runs into it. GG, Mark.
Does have an orbit or two to find the hand, but elected that a lot of the shoves that he'd seen and the opens were getting through on this table. It's been extremely cagey due to the kind of stack distribution, and I don't really blame him there. I think that he's just thought, you know what, I've got the short stack and the small blind. Short stack and the big blind. I'm just going to push this in here, but unfortunately sent packing. What's Sean up to here? Okay, he's got the king queen suited. Opening into Endrit's big blind, nothing for Endrit to be doing there with the 8-3 suited. So a nice pickup for Sean, and back-to-back pots, finds an elimination, picks up 10 big blinds, and then 2.5 the next hand. He's moving in the right direction, and I believe that he is now in 1 and 2 with, there we go, Dimitri.
We are playing past the parcel for the chip lead here at the FT. Do expect a lot of fireworks over the next hour or so. Still a ton of short stacks in the mix. It's time to run good, Gio. If you ever needed to, now is the time. 43k for the win. Gonna have to win a bunch of flips to take down this one.
Yeah, fortune favors the brave. Unfortunately, didn't work out for Mark there, but 7 remaining contestants all in the thick of it. And guys, if you do want to win your way to potentially a main event final table coming up in Malta, do feel free to check out thefestival.com for all of the information on the satellites and qualifiers for packages and seat-only deals across all of our sponsors. Thefestival.com once again for all of that info.
Absolutely. Malta is going to be a major schedule. Got released this week. Please take a look. Running from the 15th to the 21st of May. And Sean is feeling it. Opening the threes.
With the size up as well, 2.5. Interesting that he does that with, the ace jack under the gun, and now the threes, potentially hands that he wants to open, but kind of wants to signify to the rest of the table that the size up means a little bit more of a hand than he's actually got. So does get Endrit to fold the king 10 suited by the looks of it, which maybe would have jammed versus a min raise. So in this case, works out quite nicely for Sean.
It's such an awkward spot for Endrit. Don't hate fold.
Yeah, very awkward there. Hasn't seen any showdowns. The players obviously don't have their mobile phones at the table. So kind of in a guessing game as to what this 2.5x could mean. We've seen Sean flat the button there with the ace-5 versus EP earlier. He's had some min raises. He's had a 2.4x, now the 2.5x. Endrit not wanting to sort of go out by assuming that maybe it's weaker, when in actual fact he could just be running into it quite a lot of the time there, I imagine.
More than fair, and our short stacks continue to wake up with it when needed.
Yeah.
Michael finds the kings off a little over 6 big blinds.
Yeah, he's been very patient as Michael, and he's rewarded now with a super premium +1, and even kind of lets out a little, yep, double check of the cards. That is king. Yeah, you could see if you were paying attention there. Obviously, we see the whole cards, but definitely an exhalation and a double check.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Getchy, Christmas Day, finds the aces behind.
Oh my word.
And Michael, with a nightmare scenario unfolding, finds the pocket kings off 6 bigs, desperate to find a caller, and he is about to get the bad news.
It's very, very bad
What
news.
a
It
cooler, Gio.
doesn't get worse than that. He knows that Endrit is going to be rejamming some of these hands like 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, some ace-x as well. So still going to be loving the call until they go on their backs and he sees that he's only got 2 outs.
Sees the awful news. Brutal spot.
Why do we see 12% next to Endrit's name there? That's interesting.
Difficult to have 12% with the aces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael, on the brink of elimination, is going to need to improve, hit one of those remaining 2 kings, or he will be out in 7th.
Yeah, couldn't have really asked for more in that spot. +1 going into that big blind plus ante situation. 2 hands to go, picks up the kings, runs into the aces. It's just the brutality of tournament poker.
And
oh,
no
I see.
Good.
I think the burn card was a king. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I think
down to 1 out possibly here, Michael, and no good on the river. We do lose Michael O'Brien. GG, sir. Well played, good run. Finishes in 7th place for £5,500. And just like that, after a couple of hours with no eliminations, we are down to 6 in the hunt for that title.
Yeah, we predicted that the shorties and the stragglers were going to have to make a stand, and make a stand Michael did with the 2 kings. Couldn't have asked for much more. Looks like the RFDI did pick up the burn card there, so don't be fooled by the check mark next to Michael's name. Unfortunately, he is sent packing. Was that 5.5k for 7th?
5.5k indeed. Not a bad week's work.
Nope.
And we are down to 6, guys. Next elimination will receive £7,000. And with the blinds and antes being so big, shorter handed, the price of poker going up. Going to be so much pressure on these low to mid stacks. We are down to 6.
That we are. And now, as we get the 2 quick eliminations, the structure catches up a little bit. So it's still going to be quite ferocious and thick and fast, but slightly less so. So a little bit more play as we see the next couple of eliminations go, and the average just gets boosted up somewhat. So we are getting to the business end of the main event final table. Stay tuned. And if you are enjoying the stream, please feel free to share on your socials. We'd like to boost our viewer count and make a challenge to the 400 or so we had for the last main event feature table here at the festival.
Absolutely. Gio couldn't have put it better myself. Give it a share, guys. Give us a like, give us a follow, all that good stuff. And please, if you want to check out what is happening at Dusk Till Dawn, please check out our social medias at DTD Club and at DTD Live on Twitter and Instagram. And for the festival series, at the Festival OG.
Yeah, and then Georgie there with another fearless open, 8-6 suited on the button. Much more of a kind of cash game type open, but, you know, with the short stacks behind him, just laying down the gauntlet there. He's got Vegard, who's out of the hand, kind of lurking around with 4 bigs. So even just an open really instills fear into your opponents. And yeah, difficult to play against unless you pick up something pretty decent.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a wild card, Georgie.
Yeah.
But you love to see this, some non-standard opens. Like, he's just playing to win. Quite refreshing. Often we see at final tables, players will shy away and look to just move up the money rankings. Not a bit of it from Georgie. He's gone for it.
Absolutely, yeah. I played online tournaments up until sort of midway through last year, and you do tend to see a lot of robotic and fairly standard play on the FT, but we're seeing some fireworks here from people just unwilling to follow the book.
And
that
here
makes for a
we
great
go.
stream.
Vegard deciding that with the big blind ante coming, Queen 8, he is going to run it, and he is going to run directly into the pocket nines of Ignacio. He is going to need a bunch of help.
Yeah, Vegard just deciding
thin jam.
Vegard just deciding he'd rather jam here and play for potentially a 10 big blind double up or get it through, compared to being sat with 3.5 bigs.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to need help, or we are going to be down to 5 in a flash.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were predicting, and wow, look at that. So the 9 now no good for Ignacio, as Vegard picks up the overcard gutty.
Does pick up a couple of extra outs.
3 is not what he wanted to see there, no additional. And the cold, hard deuce of clubs on the river.
And we are down to 5, just like that. GG, Mr. Vegard Andreasen, finishing in 6th place, picking up £7,000 for his efforts. Played very well, Gio. I didn't make any mistakes as far as I could see.
Yeah,
GG.
put in a good stint there, and another fearless take with the Queen 8 there, just kind of understanding that it's with the way that it's been going with the 2 quick eliminations, the onus was on him to try and make a move and potentially try and sneak one through there. Unfortunately, he did run into the 9s, and that's just the way it goes sometimes, left with no choice. And yeah, he's going to be a little bit gutted about that one, but we are 5 left, and we're almost at the 4-figure range, right? I think it's about 12.2k to 4th.
Yes, indeed. Getting the payouts up in front of me. 5th place will receive 9.2k. And yes, as you referenced, 4th place, we will be into the 5-figure range. 12,600 for 4th. As we expected, it was time for some eliminations. And just like that, we're down to 5. Festival Series main event, guys, coming to you from dusk till dawn in Nottingham. 5-handed in the hunt for the title. And Ignacio finding a premium hand. Dimitri with the King 10 off open. Looks as if Ignacio has just piled it in. No, he goes for the induce.
Very greedy with the offsuit ace king, I think, with the stacks being so tight. I think the standard play is just to jam here. But Ignacio beating to the sound of his own drum there, trying to target a worse hand continuing, and looks like he was comfortable there going to a flop with the premium. Don't get to see a hand as big as ace king so often, so he decided, you know what, going to try and eke out a little bit of extra value.
Yes, indeed. Deciding to widen his value range into the 3-bet calls with ace king. Don't absolutely hate it against a capable player like Dimitri.
Exactly.
If he's unlikely to defend too often against your 3-bets, can't be bad to have some more value in there. Otherwise, when you 3-bet, you're going to be too bluff heavy, I think, because we're not going to have too many induces. And Ignacio deciding to include ace king off. Gets it done. And these cagey stack distributions continue.
They do indeed. They do indeed. And it's getting very, very frantic here now. Looks like we're around back over the sort of 20 big blind average range, which is quite nice for the viewing experience. It's not just going to be push fold. There will be a bit more post flop play coming into it. Enter it here with the ace deuce. Going to limp in there. 2.5 in the
Georgie,
middle.
with the ace-8 suited, don't expect him to check this one back.
No, I think he's going to either jam or go for an in-position ISO here.
Does it look like he's going to just raise? Not afraid, Georgie, looking to raise call, you would imagine.
Yeah, it's an awkward one, isn't it? Because exactly as you mentioned, once you do raise, you've got to be thinking about what happens if your opponent finds a counter, and ace-8 there suited with this stack distribution, a little bit dicey, but again, just showing his kind of short stack ninja prowess that we've seen from him a couple of times. Not scared to play a little bit clicky there, play a little bit, you know, take a flop maybe in position with a hand that does dominate the limp call range. So once again, a fearless play there from the Hungarian counterpart in seat 2.
Yeah, we do love to see a couple of wild cards. We've seen Ignacio, very fearless. Georgie, ready to get in the mix. And Dimitri and Endrit, both very accomplished. And Sean has played very well, tightened his ranges up, you know, very much correctly after a few, you know, slightly too wide hands early doors. It's anybody's game. Super close stack distributions. Excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah, he's made the adjustments from earlier on where he was kind of a little bit too peel heavy and call happy, and now he did sort of benefit from some relatively decent card distribution. And once again, you see him here, ace jack, powerhouse hand, 5-handed, and opens it up. Let's see what size he goes for. He's been a little bit all over the place with his pre-flop sizing selection. And yeah, he does go for the 3.2x here. So really mixing it up is our man Sean in seat 7, and just kind of forcing out these worse hands. I don't think Dimitri will continue versus such a large size.
It can be very tricky playing against these big size-ins.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable to play against. Some hands that you would like to defend, all of a sudden costing you a big chunk of chips.
Yeah. Oh, he does call. I thought that would be for me, that would be the third option of the 3. Folding probably, and then maybe some 3-bet non-all-in, but wow, look at this. I've really
Here we go.
Yeah, disconnected board. And Sean just with the snap check back, surprised to see that. Assumed that he would try and sort of lean on that kind of overpair advantage he's got, but I might be inclined to represent the king now. He goes for 2.1, quarter. Just trying to kind of clear out some equity here.
Very interesting spot now for Dimitri. Of course, cannot ever fold.
No.
Likely to check call. If this bricks, he's going to be very disappointed if Sean checks back and wins with ace high. But he does drill the nut flush on the river.
What a card. And he's going to be hoping, yeah, he's just going to be praying that Sean's got some kind of hand like ace king or king queen or king jack there, which would be in a lot of the time. So no real reason to lead the river, just looking to go for the check raise. And unfortunately, Sean did take a stab at the turn, but wasn't to be. And Dimitri with a really important hit there. You know, if he does miss that, it's going to be down to, well, under 20 big blinds again, and it's going to be needing something to happen quite quickly. But with that diamond on the river, again, moving his way up the pack.
Absolutely, Gio, every pot critical at the moment. We are seeing some more play now, which is good. As we had referenced earlier, we were on a 30-minute clock. Play was getting extremely shallow and dicey. And the organisers, showing some game intelligence, have extended the blind levels. We are up to 40-minute blinds now. Should give the players a little more latitude for patience and, you know, a bit more play. Good for us in the booth, good for the stream. We're 5-handed guys in the main event.
Oh yes, and I just saw Sean leave the picture there, so I'm not sure what he's up to. There's some sort of bathroom emergency, or potentially someone on the rail needing his car keys. You never know, but he's playing for a lot of money here, so he needs to get back in that seat quick time. Looks like we've got the TD coming along, maybe looking at some kind of deal, or are we chipping up?
I think just getting some chip counts for us on the stream, and also, you know, for our social media channels, etc.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just doing some housekeeping.
Yeah, I was going to
Wonderfully
say,
run tournament at DTD, always.
very professional, very efficient, and very thorough in their approach. And yeah, I've been very impressed with the streams throughout the week. It's been a good showcase for UK poker, which is a good thing.
For sure. And while they are doing this housekeeping, gives us the chance to inform you of things coming up on the horizon. The next festival series in Malta takes place from the 15th to the 21st of May. If you want to check out all qualifiers, all scheduling, qualifiers already running, a bunch of sites you can play on, head to thefestival.com, where you can check out what is going on for all things festival series. And at Dusk Till Dawn, please check out our socials. Head to @DTD Club and @DTD Live for everything Dusk Till Dawn related. Give us a follow, give us a like. And yeah, please stay with us for the conclusion of our coverage. We are five-handed in this main event. And it has gone quickly, Gio, after a very slow start. Players hanging on. We've had 3 eliminations within the last 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, we were expecting a quicker kind of procession of bust outs. We didn't get that. There were a lot of short stacks doubling. There were a lot of spots that were kind of awkward and got avoided somehow. And yeah, here we are with 5 left. The average is now fairly healthy again, and we are going to see some real poker in the closing stages, which is what we're here for. We want to see. We've got a couple of great players in the mix. We want to see some battling. We want to learn from what's going on. It's going to be really interesting to see who now stakes a claim in the next level or so. We're going to be moving up to that the 1.2 million big blind level soon. And things will be ticking along.
So we are being asked to give the last 5 names in the tournament. The night bot has been requested. Well, how about, Hannah, I just tell you instead? We have the 5 remaining players, Mr. Endrit Getchi. We have Mr. Georgi Simon. We have Dimitri Dudakov. We have Ignacio Menendez. We have Mr. Sean O'Donnell. They are our final 5. As you see, while we just finish our housekeeping, Gio, maybe it's time for Ask Gio. It's time for a new segment here at the festival series, Ask Gio. People in Twitch, any of them your most outlandish questions, get them fired in. I'm going to start with the first one. I'm going to kick us off.
Go on.
So I've been made aware that Gio recently got a new puppy, guys. Isn't that lovely? Gio, what is the puppy's name? How's the house training going? And have you had any sleep at all since getting her?
Yeah, it's going really well, I would say. Ups and downs on the house training stuff. She seems to be either colorblind or ignorant to the different formats of mats that we have. So, you know, you've got your classical white one, you get it from the pet store. That's where she's supposed to do her business. But she likes to lay a claim to the other mats. I think it's a little bit of psychological warfare going on there between the owner and the dog. So,
wow,
yeah.
Sounds intense. I thought puppies were supposed to be light and fluffy and full of rainbows and happiness. Apparently, you're glaring at each other across the room, and you're saying, "For goodness sake, puppy, it's green, not white."
No, it's all
Come
love.
on, Gio, colorblind, a colorblind puppy.
It's all love from
me.
me.
With you, bro.
It's all love from me, but my housemate, who is online tournament grinder, doesn't get a lot of time off of the computer, and when he does, staring a puddle of piss in the face, not an ideal 5-minute break for him. So alternative arrangements are going to have to come into play. Her name is Gladdy, which is after my Unfortunately, recently deceased grandma, who was a big part of my life, and I decided to keep her name going strong in the form of a new life. So some kind of reincarnation there.
Very sorry to hear about that, my friend,
Okay,
but
that's all.
a lovely touch naming the puppy after her. And I hope you have a long and fruitful puppy Georgie ownership together. There you
That's the
go. What a
plan.
beautiful note to get back into the action. We are five-handed, guys. This is the Festival Series main event. Dimitri with a small chip lead over Sean, and look how tight that is. Basically, everybody in second place. It's so close. Incredibly tight stacks.
That it is. And it's going to be a mixture of heart and card distribution and fortune that will drive one of these 5 potential candidates for the win into the hot seat and the main event champion title. So let's see who does it. Rags for everyone so far. Looks like we're going to be finding a big blind on blind confrontation. Ignacio there with the 21 million, King 6-0. Limps it in. 20 big blinds effective. Oh, he does go for the min raise here. Little bit of an awkward and sort of unorthodox route, as you do just price in these kind of hands from Sean. We are now playing 20 big blinds effective. This might have been a little bit more efficient at like the 10 big blind level, but being 20 big blinds, we do still get to sort of peel a reasonably wide range in position versus this min raise.
Yeah, interesting spot. I think we do get the occasional sort of blockery type open out of the small. And
Yeah,
Ignacio perhaps just wanting to take the betting lead. Maybe thinks that Sean won't defend too wide in general, which seems reasonable based on what we've seen. Does elect to go for the open pre, and it works out nicely.
yeah, I'd be more inclined to go a little bit bigger there if I were going to use the sort of
Yeah,
king
seems
high,
reasonable.
one low, just to try and force out some of these middling hands. You know, the 9/8s, the 10/9 offs. Just put them in a bit of a more difficult spot. But we do have some difficulty navigating post flop when we don't define our opponent's range so much with the smaller size. But it does get it done. Nice dry Broadway too low board for him to see bet there, and a nice pickup.
Absolutely, Gio. John Kite back in the streets. Hello, John. And John, I'll answer your question in a minute. Sean has rifled open jams 20 bigs, and Endre in a very nasty spot with just a7. Probably going to just have to fold this. Yeah, and Sean gets it done with the open jam. Decent hand selection. We're going to want to jam a bunch of ace-x for 20 bigs. And as we see, if we get Endre to fold the sort of ace-7, ace-8, ace-9s, it's going to be printing. Very nice
Yeah,
hand, Sean.
yeah, pretty cool that he does find it there and gets the better hand to fold. Just the power of being first in the pot at this sort of shallow-ish stack distribution. So a hearty play there from Sean.
Absolutely. And to go back to John's question, Vegard, very unfortunate, of course, a fast structure. He did take a very thin one, understandably though, 4.7 bigs, kind of nasty. He had queen 8 under the gun, and with the big blind coming, big blind ante elected to push, ran into the pocket nines of Ignacio, I believe, could not run it down and busted in 6th.
That he did, but he did have, even if it was just for a couple of hours, showed a lot of heart, showed a lot of competence, and I'm sure watching back, he'll be happy with his run. Did get the spin up early doors, laid a claim down on potentially getting into the podium positions, but wasn't to be with the eventual card distribution for him. Couldn't fade the river when he did improve with the Queen Jack versus the Ace X suited.
Yep, played very well. Couldn't have said it better.
And Ignacio here with the huge open with the ace king, kind of just looking to take it down.
Yeah, seeing some large sizes notably from Sean and Ignacio.
Yeah. And both of them with
Very
a
tight
similar,
bunch.
both of them with a similar kind of hand as well. This like typically very strong hand, but in their eyes it is just ace high, and they're just not looking to sort of chance any post flop kind of action, and just looking to take the blinds and move on. Fair enough. It does lose a little bit of value, but it does do the job that they're intending it to do, and picks up the nines next hand as well.
Ignacio finding some heat here. Does open again. It'd be interesting to see if he chooses a similar size. Blinds are up, guys, to 601.2 million. Really putting a lot of pressure on Dimitri with a very interesting spot. Ace-10 off. Would expect him just to defend.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too much hand to sort of 3-bet bluff from the big blind. And he is going to do okay-ish versus this opening range. We are 5-handed now, remember, so ace-10. Yeah, just sort of slots into the middle there as a nice one to peel. Good board for Ignacio.
Very nice board for Ignacio. Very natural c-bet. We are going to want to have some checks on this type of board. Does connect with the big blind a lot, but our 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks typically all going to want some protection. Does come in for a small bet. Now Dimitri, does he have shenanigans in mind? He's going to call with ace high.
Okay, interesting. No club in his hand.
Very thin. This would be what you would consider probably our stone bottom check call, I think. Unpaired. Turn is a 6. Ignacio now could check back turn. Don't hate it. A little pot control. A very interesting river. Will Dimitri elect to turn ace high into a bluff? He may think he has enough showdown. Does check.
This is the issue when you arrive at the river without that backdoor, because if we did have ace-10 with one club, maybe we could start representing some kind of flush here, but just
and
sort
Ignacio really is a wild card at times. Like, I wouldn't expect him to bet this specific river, I don't think. Obviously must be targeting a 7 or a hand like 6-8 potentially to hero.
6-8, 6-4 suited maybe. Yeah.
I think if we're gonna bet for value, it might be the turn, which is the street we want to go for.
Yeah.
Very interesting in this bet. Of course, confusing Dimitri. Considering a hero call here with ace high.
Dimitri now knows or thinks maybe that Ignacio is only really representing a river king here.
Yeah.
Likely if he did have some kind of 5x, ace-5 suited or something to bet the turn. So yeah, only really like kings, 7s full and 6s full. King X, sorry, 7s full and 6s full as the value, and potentially some Broadway bluffs there that kind of try and represent the king. Realize that queen high or the jack high or whatever doesn't have much showdown, but does elect to make the discipline lay down. Fair enough.
Yeah, we are going to have some flushes in position. They're not all going to want to barrel off.
Yeah.
So yeah, still repping some other hands in there. Yeah, Ignacio, not the easiest man to predict. Wasn't expecting him to value bet the 9s. But there we go, does find it. But Dimitri with the discipline fold with ace-10. Now Endrit, haven't seen much from him recently. We're going to see something now. Probably debating between open and jam. Does have around about 16 bigs, so I would expect him just to raise.
Yeah, Endrit's very comfortable in these spots. He understands that he has probably the most prowess on the table in terms of results and experience in higher stakes. So not looking to just jam it in and potentially run into a hand. He's going to be comfortable taking it to the streets, potentially going up against the big blind defend, and proceeding from there. And if he does get jammed on, I think he's just going to have a pretty trivial fold. So
does get the wink from Ignacio. I've never seen a man wink at me, George, at the table and then re-raise.
No, neither. It's always like a I'll let you have this one, I'll get the next one kind of vibe, isn't it?
It certainly is. Guys, coming up at Dusk Till Dawn within the next month or so, we have the World Series of Poker Circuit Event Series. very much looking forward to an £1,100 500k main event. So check out all of our social media for updates and scheduling at DTD Club, at DTD Live. Gonna be a very good series, and we look forward to it very much. For the arrival of Mr. Helmuth, Phil Helmuth, coming to Dusk Till Dawn in April for a high-stakes cash game. I'm intrigued to see what happens, Gio, not gonna lie.
Me too. I'll definitely be tuning in for that one. Not so much for the sort of strategy knowledge from Phil, but definitely the table presence and just the persona he brings to the table. It really is unmatched and unparalleled in the world of poker, and he's built a brand out of his erratic sort of behavior at the table, and it's always great TV, that's for sure.
Speaking of great TV, there is a potential for clashing, and here
Ooh.
we go. And here it is.
This is
This
going to
goes
be a
in all day,
huge
every
pot.
day. Sean with the snap pile. Dimitri always has to call with tens. This is the biggest flip of the tournament. It's a classic race. Ace King of Hearts of Sean against the tens of Dimitri. Winner of this pot's going to take a big chip lead. And there it is.
Oh,
Sean
Sean
drills the ace of diamonds.
continuing to find it is Sean.
Dimitri in dire shape here. Gonna need one of the remaining tens, or he is on the ventilator. Does not find it.
So not quite a bust out, but that leaves Dimitri with 1.5 big blinds. And it's more than likely going to be good night Vienna for him. But the crucial flip there did get it in with slightly the best of it. Dimitri's putting his coat on. My friend, you do have a couple of chips left to spin in there. It's not impossible to get yourself back into the game from this position. We've all done it before. Time to unfortunately accept the unfortune of that run out. And yeah, battle away. There's still money to be played for. We've still got a chip and a chair, to use the old adage.
As we have seen already, Gio, in lots of recoveries from short stacks. Unfortunately, on the wrong side of the flip, Dimitri. One of those spots, you know, inevitably the money will go in, and you have to flip well to win any major tournament. This is the main event, final table at the Festival Series. Dimitri, 1.5 big blinds, Gio.
Yeah.
Tough, tough, tough.
Tough, but still somewhat spinnable. And look at Sean. He went to do a little victory lap with the rail. He's having the time of his life there after drilling the ace. What a moment for him in his poker career. And he's got a resounding chip lead now. 40% of the chips in play. That's going to be a tough one to overturn as we do start to see people sort of ebb away. Now looking at sort of a 4.5-handed game with the 1.5 straggler. Let's see how Sean moves into this resounding chip lead position. Does he start to move into another gear, or does he continue to do what he's been previously doing, which is playing pretty solid stuff and winning the all-ins, which is, you know, a pretty good strategy in itself.
Absolutely, played very well. And yeah, eventually the coin flips come, Gio. They come to all of us in the end.
They do.
So Dimitri looking to spin up an extremely short stack. Otherwise, we will be down to 4 in the hunt for the title. Guys, £42,500 up top for the win.
Yeah.
Coming to you from Dusk Till Dawn card room in Knots. Now Dimitri, 9-6 off. Does elect to just run it.
I think we've still got 2 more hands here. Either probably, and we're still playing for the big blind ante in both of those hands. So I probably would have just let this one go, but I understand it's frustrating to lose the huge flip. But yeah, does just kind of flick it in, hope for the best. Sean here, yeah, not really any kind of play but to call, getting such a good price.
He is extremely live with the 9-6. Potential for a quadruple. It's about as good as you can get it in 4-way, Gio.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Endrit He's going to flick it in as well, and you're going to see a lot of very honest play post flop here, looking to kind of check it down. It's kind of the unspoken little thing in poker, isn't it? No one says it out loud, but everyone's kind of eyeballing each other as if to say, let's get rid of this guy, shall we? And move on with our day. Hendrik going into the lead.
Does flop a gut shot, Dimitri. Looking for an 8 to make the
9
second
no
nuts.
good. Unfortunately, Sean's got the 9 covered. The ace
Yeah.
of clubs just adds a little bit of extra spice to Hendrik's hand now, 80% four ways.
And Ignacio is
What's
gonna
going on
bet.
here? No, he's... Why are we bluffing with bottom pair with the guy who's all in?
This is ambition. And
Yeah,
Endrit, what do? Don't think we can fold our hand.
nah, no chance.
Far too much equity. We do have the best of it, and also can redraw against a perceived ace, which Ignacio is deciding to rep in this dry side. Endrit not going to be thrilled, but I think we must always continue turn. Will check call.
As you say, classically, you're not expecting to see a worse hand here probe the turn because there's just not really any incentive to bluff. But Ignacio kind of beating to the sound of his own drum once again with the bottom pair, looking to thin out the field.
Dimitri! Oh no, he does not. Sorry, I
No.
thought the 6 was live. Endrit is going to win a big pot, relatively speaking, with the pair of 7s. And we do lose Dimitri in 5th place. Very well played, Dimitri Dudakov. It was unfortunate today, Gio. Came in with the chip lead. It was very much a roller coaster. Managed to navigate himself back up. And then, of course, losing that critical chip lead flip with the 10s. Played well, GG's, and we lose Dimitri in 5th place, £9,250. And Gio, just like that, we're four-handed. GG, Dimitri. Played well, huh?
GG, yeah, impressed with his showing. As you say, couldn't really do much about the big flip. Just one of those unavoidable final table situations that you kind of get yourself into and feel a little bit hard done by when you don't come out on the better end of it. But not really much else he could have done. Did well to recompose himself after a fairly tumultuous start to the FT. Dusted off about a third of his stack. Early on and did make a nice rebuild there. So I think if he watches this final table back, he'll be happy with his performance. And yeah, showed a lot of mettle, a lot of resilience there to edge his way back in it. And unfortunately, couldn't get it done when it mattered, when the cards were on their backs. Good game, Dimitri.
Yeah, very fair summary. I think he played absolutely fine, ran into it a lot, managed to rebuild, but unfortunately could not win the big all-in. And as we all know, tournament regulars, fans and pundits alike, you gotta win your flips. So GG Dimitri, well played. And we're down to 4 guys. Ignacio opening with the ace-8.
Yep, fairly standard. A little bit chunky on the sizing. I think we're not really incentivized to go much north of min raise in these kind of situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, just saying, look, I'm going to open here. Him and Sean have been the 2 players that have kind of freestyled a little bit with the pre-flop. And let's see if he stabs this board because it's a good check back. I think this is not the sort of board that you want to just blindly chuck a third pot in there. There's a fairly condensed big blind defend, and we do see Georgie actually with the 7-5 off.
Very, very wide defend. We have seen him doing it throughout this final table. And wow, he sniffs out the turn bluff.
Yeah, I mean, Ignacio does have a lot of natural hands that he could bet the turn with, especially 10x, maybe 9s and 8s with a spade or something like that, just to try and get some value. But yeah, 7-5 makes the
Does
third pair
river
call.
best. Georgie going to be very disappointed to see the rivered 8.
Yeah,
those spots can be quite tilt.
Yeah, they can be quite tilting, but also maybe a little reminder of how weak our 7-5 is there, because the most likely the most high likelihood is that we do flop or sort of end up with a 1 pair hand, and obviously with the 2 cards being so low, you are always vulnerable to the redraw, and you see that there for Ignacio, just rivering the 8, checking it back, and picking up another medium-sized pop. Another glaring reminder of the Malta Festival coming up from the 15th to the 21st in May. Once again, a showcase of mixed games and all kinds of different gaming experiences on show for you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. I'm definitely going to be there for this one. And it's going to be nice weather, plenty of mixed game action. And of course, for you stalwarts of the Cadillac of Poker, No Limit Hold'em, plenty of events for you, including the coveted main event, which is what we're commentating on here. 4 left, playing for 42.5k, and another great example of what you could achieve if you were to satellite in. We do have many packages and qualifiers coming up for the Malta stop. Get yourself over to thefestival.com, have a little gander at all of the things that we've got available to you guys. I'm sure there will be a partner available in your country for you to potentially forge your way onto the final table in Malta. See you there. So Sean here does have the chip lead, 9-8 off, a little bit of an adventurous hand, especially with this super short stack Georgie and the small blind on the 10 bigs. Just electing to let it go. Georgie here with the 10-7. We know he's a very capable player. Does he go for this loose jam into Ignacio, who will call in this instance with the 6s? Georgie deciding his options. Does he want to limp? Does elect to just lay it down, and Ignacio almost a needle after the last hand, rivering the 8 and now showing him that he was calling.
Does lay down the 10-7. We are 4-handed, guys. Gio, after a slow start, his action has picked up.
That it has. What do you do there with these kind of like middling offsuit hands? Maybe a 10-8 off. Would you include that in the limp? Would you jam it?
Yeah, that's very awkward. I'd like to have seen the full, lineup of chip stacks for making that choice. Very tough though. You are gonna, even when you limp, you're occasionally, hands like Queen 7 and stuff like that are gonna get to remain in there that dominate us, and we are just so shallow. It's very awkward.
It is, isn't it? And
I don't hate fold, especially with the chip stacks all pretty much very close. He could get into some trouble here. We have seen that Georgie.
Yeah.
My apologies. I thought Andrew was the big blind and that he was going to get to open jam button.
No, but yeah, it's interesting now because we are playing 4-handed, but the big blind ante still remains. So it just gets really awkward for the short stacks because they just don't have any breathing room whatsoever. They really need to find a spot very quickly, or in 2 or 3 orbits time, they're going to just be left with remnants of dust. So really important for them to find a spot. But yeah, I agree. The 10-7 just a little bit thin there.
Yeah, very awkward.
And here we go. So would be in a classical sense a better board for the big blind, but Indrit knows that Sean is going to be slightly on the tighter side from what we've seen. He's just shown up with pretty decent hands whenever he's entered the pot so far.
Yeah, pretty natural check back for Indrit. We do get to keep in some hands like Sean exactly has, like a Queen 10, that if he catches up, we have him in terrible shape. And yeah, we do not want to fold a hand as strong as Ace Queen. Does turn the nut flush draw. Looks like he's gonna bet.
Just recognize that Sean is potentially removing some of the stronger hands that you might be scared about on this low connected board.
Yeah, also with this bet, we do get to put a lot of pressure on a hand like an 8-5 of hearts, any kind of 3x, these type of hands we can get to fold. And we can potentially still get value from 7-8, 8-9, any club draws, any spade draws. Like the bet from Andrew, you're going to get some better hands to fold. and, you know, get some draws that we beat still to call. And he does
Yeah.
pick up a nice pot.
And, you know, worst case scenario, we run into a jack, we've got 2 clean overs plus the flush draw, and Sean, unlikely to be the kind of person that wants to play for it all or puts in some sort of check raise with the jack. So do get to realize our equity there. It does get dicey sometimes when you are barreling flush draws in spots where you really do sort of, your hand kind of shrivels up in value versus the raise. But Andrea, again, showing some nice final table awareness, picking his spots well, and navigating to the best of his ability. Good to see.
Yeah, absolutely agree with all. Does fold to Ignacio on the button, and he is in there with the queen 8 off.
Yeah, I don't blame him. He can lean on the fact that the short stack has folded, so the other players might be. But as I say that, going into the spiel about how potentially they might tighten up, not wanting to sort of have the top 3 stack battle on battle, Sean just peeling one off here with the 4 high and the small.
Yeah, very interesting. Not a typical peel candidate. Does flop best.
He's
But
gonna
Ignacio,
lead.
oh, wow, we are getting into the weeds now.
Yeah, this is real street poker here from Sean.
From both players, very wide open from Ignacio, considering he is covered behind. Extremely wide peel from Sean, and an extremely non-standard flop lead. Choosing a very small sizing also.
Yeah, just
20%. Ignacio, of course, can't fold an overcard. That has a gut shot. Backdoor spade draw working a kind of like flop raise.
Yeah, it's quite tasty, isn't it? You've got a pretty good candidate here. You don't really mind if Sean just wazzes in a flush draw on you or whatever. You know, if he's got like king 10 of spades here, whatever. We've just got a gut shot and an overcard, but
For sure.
we could definitely put some pressure. I don't think Sean's going to be too far up in his range when he does lead for sort of like 20% or the sizing that he chose. But why not? Let's just call and backdoor a flush, you know?
For sure. Yeah, we can put some pressure on, you know, something like a 4, a weak 9x, potentially
Yeah.
pocket 6s or 7s or something like this that Sean is going to donk lead with.
Yeah.
In
Sean
any
just
case, Ignacio does get it done. Finds a nice value bet with the 8 of spades, and Sean has to release 3-4 of diamonds.
Yeah, tough for Sean to show up with a stronger hand at that point after the passive turn and river actions. So it's good awareness from Ignacio, and Sean in there is. We can see that he's been the player that's been the most adaptable, I would say. You know, now he's trying to sort of, you know, fire little prods and nudges at his opponents, just to kind of, you know, build the onus and kind of take the initiative. It's an unorthodox play, but you know what? I don't mind the fact that he's trying to sort of leverage his chip advantage.
Would agree completely. Very interesting final 4 lineup we have. Ignacio and Sean, kind of wild cards. Not easy to predict what they're going to do, which is a fun challenge for us in the booth. Georgie, very aggressive, very much in the mix. And we have our resident pro, Mr. Andreasen, just looking for some chinks in the armor, Gio. And they're all in the hunt for that £42,500 first place prize. And here comes Ignacio with, again, another large open, close to 3x with the Queen Jack.
Yeah, once again, just saying, you know, I've got a half-decent hand. I'm not particularly looking to take a flop, so I'm just going to try and force you guys out and go from there. And if I do get raised, then I know that you're going to have a strong hand because of the fact that I've made it so big. Kind of, yeah, a very unique way of approaching it, but you do see that quite often in these grassroots poker games. Plenty of qualifiers, plenty of ways to get in, and plenty of different styles, and that's the fun thing about this Final Four. We've got Endrit, who does play by the book, but also has a very fluid style. He will adapt to spots very quickly based on the sort of opponent he's up against. We've got Georgie, who has played pretty solid, but also has been pretty fearless when he needed to be. And then we've got Sean and Ignacio, both guys that are in there playing a pretty high VPIP and getting in the mix with these unorthodox and awkward open raise sizings. So we've got a hell of a Final Four, and I'm looking forward to see what develops.
Very well put. That is the voice of Mr. George Sanford in the booth with myself, Andrew Headley. We're four-handed, guys, getting to the business end. It's anybody's game. The stacks are all extremely bunched up. It's going to be intriguing to see what happens from here. Now, Sean mixing in a limp with the Queen Jack suited. Interesting. First time we have seen a limp four-handed, I believe. Ignacio gonna check his option with the ace-8 suited. Flop is ace-king deuce. Ignacio, very disguised ace in his hand.
Yeah, and we see the players slightly more comfortable now that they know they've locked up a big score. We've got a little bit of camaraderie, a little bit of banter flying around. Lots of smiles around the table. Sean electing not to take that spot. Could potentially rep some kind of trap there. Hasn't yet limped in this kind of situation. And Ignacio now knowing that he's going to have the best hand. We're not going to see many 3Xs in this limp from Sean. And if we do, maybe ace-3 suited that probably would have stabbed at some point. So Ignacio, with every reason to believe he's got the best of it, and does fire out a chunky bet that Sean waves the white flag to. So
yep, very clear value bet river. He does pad his chip lead. Finally, a little daylight creeping in between the players. 46 million. Sean and Endrit both pretty much neck and neck in second. And Georgie now getting very short. Going to need to find a spin up. Obviously four-handed, lots of pressure. Paying a lot of money every orbit. He is going to need to find some heat to avoid being our fourth place finisher. Guys, next out gets £12,600. And the pay jumps steadily increase right up to our 42.5k first place prize. This is the Festival Series main event final table from Dusk till Dawn in Nottingham. And it is business time, as they say. All business, Gio, much like yourself. Every time you step in a card room.
Yeah, not strictly true actually for some of my indiscretions in the past, but I'll take the compliment. Definitely have been known to enjoy some nectar and the verbal output of pot, but trying to keep things nice and in line these days. And anyway, less of that, the better. Georgie,
healthy
taking the
living, my
spot.
friend. Healthy mind, healthy body. And all it takes to boost your body and mind is to hop in the booth with me.
It does. Great vibes, great synergy. I'm enjoying myself, that's for sure. Thanks for having me. I know it's been pretty chaotic with the lineups, but we've done our best, and we do manage to get ourselves into a very great situation here, seeing some really, really high-level poker, and also players that are not afraid to, you know, take things into their own hands and find these unorthodox lines, which can be especially tricky to play against.
I'm just happy you didn't leave the booth, mate, when I threw out that line. Thought there was a risk. You might be like, you know what, actually, this isn't really brightening my life or my day at all. But you're still here. We're still four-handed. And Georgie, you found the ace-king with the 10 big blinds.
After the brave jam, finds a proper hand and is going to be sending it again. And we know that Ignacio
does find the jam with the suited queen, and now it finds a real hand. You're just going to rip it, Gio. 10 bigs. Off
Oh,
we
yeah.
go.
Yeah, absolute rags for Button and Small. Endrit in the big blind. Not going to be playing that one either. So some momentum from the short stack. That's been a theme of the final table. It did take us a while, if you are tuning in now, guys, to filter out 5th to 8th position. A lot of people hanging around, a lot of short stacks doubling, and now we do see Georgie start to move back into the pack. Was on crumbs only a couple of hands ago, picks up 5 big blinds through his efforts in the last 2, and now all of a sudden we are bunched up once again.
Yeah, really putting pressure on the players' stacks. As you can see, the blinds are about to go up. 801.6 million. Chip leader going to have sub 30 bigs. Going to once again be in that spot where we're going to see a bunch of all-ins pre. Where did Dimitri finish? Says Mini Cooler. He finished in 5th position. Very unfortunate. Came in with the chip lead. Did run into a buzzsaw of hands very often and lost a huge flip to Sean for the chip lead. His pocket 10s coming up short against the ace king of hearts of Sean. Ignacio, who was indeed my pick, Mr. Sanford. You scoffed at the selection. He's got the chip lead and he is in there with king queen opening under the gun. 4-handed, which of course becomes the cutoff. Getting it through, no defend from Georgie. And he's trying to get over that elusive 50 million chip mark. Is starting to open up a gap finally at the top of the counts.
He is indeed. We haven't seen anyone break through that sort of arbitrary barrier, the 50 million mark. And we do see him move around with his absolute pile into the middle. Now going to be going for it with the big chip lead. 40% of the chips in play. Everyone's getting a little bit more leg room as the knees are shaking with the big payouts. And once again, a big reminder of the festival coming up in Malta, 15th to the 21st. We're going to have mixed games. We're going to have the Cadillac of poker, no limit hold'em tournaments, of course, the stalwart of the schedule, and alongside that, plenty of Omaha action, plenty of Speeton, plenty of gaming experiences, and just fun and friendly social experiences as well. If you did not know, part of the package is some hospitality as well. So that can be the form of anything. There are restaurant visits, there are activities, and there are plenty of excursions on offer. Do check out all the info at thefestival.com.
The Cadillac of poker, George. I was just overcome with a wave of nostalgia watching poker streams back in my youth, shall we say.
I'm glad you got the reference, though. It was rather niche.
Of course.
But yeah.
You know we love a niche reference here at the festival series. Remember Mike Sexton used to say,
yeah.
Oh, it's the Cadillac of poker, Vince. The game that takes a minute to learn and a lifetime to master.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it?
I'm very sorry,
down
everybody.
my spine. No, it's a good one. We'll take it. It's a good
Mike
one.
Sexton, rip, what a legend he was. And indeed, used to love all those streams back in the day, George. All the old WSOP coverage, WPTs,
yeah,
magic time.
That's how I cut my teeth at the beginning. I wasn't really playing that much. I was just taking an active interest in all of these main event runs and watching, for example, Anton Morgenstern was always the one that stuck out to me. Just the huge blow up deep in the main and some of the sort of the timeless commentary that went with that as he kind of blasted his way out of potentially 7 figures of EV there. That was quite something. And also the one, you're gone.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Anton, actually, very good mate of mine. I'm sure he's going to be absolutely thrilled to have that brought back up for literally the 500th time. Like, people will never ever let him forget the pun.
No,
sorry, Anton, in case you're watching.
Unfortunately, I mean, there's obviously respect there as well, but it was just eye-opening stuff. I was gripped to the edge of my desk in university, watching everything that he did. There was so much fun back in those days. That really was the boom, and as we see now, still not going anywhere as poker. There were lots of people that said, well, the game's going to die, solvers are coming in. If you look at chess, almost a solved game. Here we are, 2023, and the poker world is still very much alive, guys.
You still want to play? All right, okay.
Very much so. Different era, same game. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think Sean there may be leaning on that chip lead, trying to kind of move the conversation towards seeing some numbers. I've seen in the chat that he is a local reg.
Have you never been to a final?
I don't think there are many tournaments of this ilk in the regular schedule. So maybe looking to lock up his ICM value and move along. But Endrit, always a sort of positive and smiley guy at the table, just politely declining that one, and we're going to play some cards. That's what we came here to see. How do you know Anton? Andrew, are you with us? Looks like potentially some technical difficulties on my co-commentator's end, as we do see Ignacio picking up the ace-king. It looks like the actual TV table is slightly behind in terms of the delay, because we are seeing the RFDI pick up the cards quicker than we are seeing them dealt. Don't worry, there's no cheating going on. That would just be a slight delay in terms of the camera work picking up on the scanner's action. So ace-king off under the gun.
Apologies for that, Gio. I did the very scientific approach of unplugging it and plugging it back in.
Oh, the old classic. Sounds like a man that's worked in IT support as a young nipper.
Oh no, I am notorious of being absolutely horrific with all things technological.
Yes,
But thankfully, we are still here. Guys, I'm Andrew Headley, and this is the voice, the co-pilot, Mr. George Sanford, who you have been listening to, bringing the high-level analysis. And we are still four-handed in this main event final table at the Festival Series. It's going to get, I reckon that the blood is coming again very soon, Gio, getting pretty shallow again.
Yeah, Georgie once again in the danger zone. As I said, four-handed with the big blind ante. A big advantage for the chip leader in many ways. Gets to open, gets to kind of lean on the shorter stacks, and gets to pull away. And Georgie not going to have many spots now with the 5 big blinds to do much, but does pick up the pocket tens in the small blind for around about 5 bigs. And it's interesting to see whether Ignacio is going to kind of gamble here with the 9 high. With his
not
stack.
Impossible that he could.
Yeah, I think the type of player he is. Yeah, we do see the call.
I think this is a call for sure. We
I
can
agree.
afford it. It's
I
a small
agree.
blind jam, you know. Seems very realistic to make the call, and he does. Georgie getting it in, 80% favorite to find that double, and there is top set.
Yeah, but it's
Huge
never
flop.
over until the fat lady sings. Does flop top set, but there's all sorts of backdoors that could wreak havoc.
That is one of them.
Brings in
Nasty
the
business,
6.
just has to fade a 6. Oh, no!
Oh, the sickest way to go out. You flop top set on a dry board and your opponent backdoors a straight. Holy moly, that is going to be a real dagger to the heart of Georgie, who finds the dream spot, BBB. He gets it in with an overpair versus 2 unders. You just can't ask for much more. Flops the top set. And what an unfortunate bow out in 4th for 12.5k for Georgie there. Wow.
You somehow knew it was coming. I saw top set. I thought it's over. Gio says there's all sorts of backdoors. And sadly, all sorts of backdoors indeed. Very well played. Georgie Simon, excuse me, finish in 4th place, £12,600. Brutal. What a way to go, especially with so much money up top, Gio. Brutal.
Yeah, I really feel for him there. That was a really tough beat to have to just, okay, fair enough. If our opponent flops trip nines or flops a flush or whatever, then whatever. But flopping the top set on 10-4-3 and seeing the backdoor gutty, I mean, that is just a dagger blow. Playing for so much money, really would have been back in the mix there with about 11 big blinds if he did hold in such a dominating spot, but not to be. And great news for Sean and Endrit now, who are kind of in the short term battling for that 2nd place. That's going to be their main priority. If they do find a good spot versus the chip leader, so be it.
For sure.
A nice pickup in terms of the extra pay jump for them.
Yeah, we do say GG to Georgie. Great run, played very well. He was fearless, found that massive laydown with the top pair, with the King 3 against Endrit's set of 8s in the early to mid going of the stream. That was a crazy hand. I was very impressed with him getting away from it. Does finish in 4th. It's going to be interesting to see, Gio, if Sean, when 2nd and 3rd place are so closely matched like this, if they end up getting it all in against each other, we could have a more even heads-up battle. But if Sean takes them out, he's going to have a huge lead if it comes to heads-up and he takes out the next player.
That's exactly it. So this is real business time. We've been saying it's business time, but this is the real business time. We're all in the podium positions, and now we are battling it out to see who is going to make the 2 players. Obviously, Ignacio going to be a big favorite to make the heads up. Is it going to be Sean? Is it going to be Endrit?
Absolutely. This is the Festival Series main, guys. We're 3-handed with our 3 remaining players. Endrit Getchi, local favourite in the mix. Ignacio Menendez and Mr. Sean O'Donnell.
Yeah.
3 left in the hunt for 43k. And what is it, Gio? The personalised caricature, I believe.
Yeah, you get the written, you get the sort of there's an in-house illustrator that will do you up a personalised sort of cartoony pencil-based caricature. So that's a nice little top off as well. Obviously the 42.5k and the glory and the big Hendon mob win is going to be the main thing that they're hoping for, but the caricature, just a nice little side piece to add to that experience.
Not going to lie to you, Gio, I'll take the money, buddy. I'll head off to, Brighton Pier to get my caricature. Ship me the 43k. No, very nice little additional sweetener here at the festival series.
my friend Manuel, my housemate, actually won the 1k in Bratislava, and he wasn't too impressed with his caricature. He was on an extreme diet 3 days after. He was he thought a little bit too many chins in the caricature. Yeah, he took that one quite personally, actually. He was gutted.
Caricatures are supposed to be fun, and the poor lad has been gaslighted or gaslit or whatever the kids say.
I think both
and he's on the old Atkins diet just after receiving a nice fun picture.
Exactly.
What a disaster.
Straight on the soups after that one with Manuel.
Oh dear. I hate to see it. Everybody who is just joining us in the Twitch and YouTube chat streets, lovely to have you with us. Please continue to engage with myself and Gio as we go. 11051988 says, guys, amazing comms. Let's go. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you. Hope that you're enjoying the coverage. And please stay with us until we crown a champion.
Yeah, Endrit just showing another nice little nugget of final table awareness there, allowing the confrontation between Ignacio, who is an extremely aggressive player, with Sean. So just allowing this confrontation, allowing the chance for the other short stack to bust. And just by folding there, going to be seeing a lot of blind v blind action. And whoa, here we go. So backdoor flush draw for Sean, 2 overcards, and Ignacio with the nut flush draw. Sean doesn't look interested though.
Yeah, very interesting. Just lays it down.
Yeah.
Ignacio closing in on 60 million.
You'd have to wrench those cards from my my corpse. Unfortunately, I've seen enough from Ignacio to think that my king high is doing pretty well here, especially with that juicy club. But good awareness from Sean there, and you can see we've got 48% of the chips for Ignacio, and Endrit and Sean neck and neck with the 20 big blinds.
Absolutely, and he is starting to pull away, Gio.
He is indeed.
Finally a little bit of distance. The stacks have been bunched up the entire time. And fair play, he's really putting his foot on the accelerator. I like my pick, Gio. It's looking strong.
Your pick is coming in. And mine's still in there. I'm still feeling good about Endrit. He's lurking in the shadows. Once again, picked up the aces versus the kings. That was a big turning point for him after it was getting a little bit dicey. And yeah, he's been maneuvering his way through the spots really well. So Sean here. Ooh, he is going to VPip the 5 high.
Yeah, he has navigated it really well. Not too many value hands dealt to Endrit. We've seen him make a bunch of good raise folds.
Yeah.
You know, find his way out of some tricky spots, sort of just stay under the radar, laddering up. He'll be hopeful now to use his perceived skill edge and, you know, try and start chipping away at Ignacio's chip lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite a nice check there from Sean. He's going to just kind of allow to see what his opponent is up to. Doesn't really want to get raised on the flop. Endrit is having every 6x in the deck there, basically. So, yeah, just sort of taking it to a turn and then going for the stab for the equities of Nile. I think he's navigated that hand quite nicely.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. I mean, we do have a 5 in our hand, which, you know, feasibly blocks some of the natural continues that Endrit would have, like a 4-5, a 5-7, things like this. So you can go either way there. I think bet flop small, get protection from 2 random overs, like an 8-9 and Jack-9, stuff like this would be fine. But of course, check also fine. Endrit is likely to bluff this board a good amount. And as you see, guys, as we have been promoting throughout, the festival series is heading to Malta, May 15th to 21st. The schedule is now out. Get yourself to thefestival.com for all of the info you're likely to need. Myself and Gio, very good possibility that we will be in the mix. It's going to be a really good one of our most favored stops at the Portomasso Casino out there in the beautiful island of Malta. But until that time, we still have business to take care of here at Dusk Till Dawn, Card Room, Nottingham. 3-handed, all 3 with a realistic chance of the title still.
Yeah, just going from strength to strength is the festival, and it's not going anywhere either. We've got great main event participation numbers. We've got great sort of momentum in terms of going from previous festivals. And yeah, back on the island of Malta, great place for poker. It's got everything you could ask for poker players and non-poker players alike. It's a really good idea to try and win that package. Maybe take your other half, as we mentioned earlier. They can enjoy some sun and maybe a cocktail on the beach, whilst you lay your claim to potentially being our next main event champion. Win-win.
Absolutely, my friend. Still cracks me up, you know, that we're just setting up our viewers and people who want to get in the mix to take their partner over to Malta and just say, darling, it's great to be here. How exciting is this? Oh, I'm just off to play the festival series main. I'll catch up with you and the kids later.
See you tomorrow.
Here's some spending money, off you go. I don't know how well that's going to work out.
No, true. But it's a nice sort of optimistic idea nonetheless.
Absolutely, my friend.
Wow,
Right,
absolutely
back into
drilling
the
it.
action we go. Danger. Will Robinson for Endrit does limp the Queen 6. And Ignacio, the very nice trappy check back, and this is going to work very well. Wow, Endrit does not fire. I thought there was some potential. Might fire a bet to try and, you know, fold out a 3x, some potential king high type hands. Does elect to check. He's been very on point in these spots, I have to say. Definitely a potential to semi-bluff that turn.
And I wonder how big Ignacio's gone here, because I imagine now the board's starting to get a little dicier. Potentially going to be looking at the bigger sizing here to charge some of these straight draws, as Endrit has. Potentially a turn 7x. Very natural one for Endrit also to arrive with here.
5 seconds.
Does reach for chips, and it looks like raisin chips.
Oh no.
First misstep from Endra at this FT. We know Ignacio is not folding this hand.
No, he's not. It's a question of does he jam now, try and sort of avoid,
Player moves all in.
or
That's
yeah, he
And
does
he does just put it in. Understandable. Lots of Endrit's set turn semi-bluffs have a heap of equity.
Absolutely.
Our hand is very vulnerable. And
Yeah.
don't blame Ignacio for just shutting it down.
Yeah,
Little
once we do
misstep from Endrit.
little bit. Once we do take the trappy line on the flop, looking just to protect our hand, and if we are beat at that stage, you know, it's not impossible for us to improve the 5 or the 3 potentially, but again, with the slow play there, just now realizing that he's kind of got to announce his hand, and Endrit there with a very aggressive check raise, unfortunately does have to fold for the remainder of his stack.
Yeah, very unfortunate spot for him. Is going to side him down, and he is in the danger zone, down at 10 big blinds. Going to be looking for some heat. Sean on 35 million, and finally we have a big chip leader at this FT. Ignacio up to 70 million. Big momentum shift and big chip swing there, Gio.
Yeah, just again, we've been talking about the concept of timing on the final table, and Endrit there with, again, a nice aggressive play, potentially thinking that Ignacio would stab some of the straight sort of hands that would improve to a straight on the turn, or the 2 pairs. So just trying to kind of lean on what he deemed to be a cap range, and unfortunately did run into a trappy play from Ignacio, unfortunate for him.
Big ISO size here from Sean.
Yeah,
Does
wow.
make it the full 3.5x off his roundabout 20 big blind stack. Seems reasonable.
Yeah, Ignacio
Ignacio with a little bit too good of a hand to limp fold. Does limp call.
500 more.
Endrit will be praying that there is somehow a large clash here.
Oh, he's licking his lips. If we see sort of a 10 high board with a couple of diamonds, or even less than that, you know, both players swap a pair, something like that, it could get pretty dicey here. 10 high board it is.
Like that, Ignacio flopping huge top pair with a backdoor flush draw to go with it, out flopping the ace queen of Sean.
Yeah, and Sean jumping out of his seat there as he sees the instant check jam. Can't continue, and that's a dagger blow to his stack. And Ignacio, just as you picked shrewdly at the start of the stream, the man to beat. Hitting the flops, laying down the gauntlet, fast playing there with the 10 and getting the 2 overs to fold, and now has a commanding chip lead over treble second place now. So it is almost one hand on the trophy at this stage if he can continue to hit the flops and sort of aggressively maneuver his way through these 2 players. He is likely to be our festival main event champion.
Absolutely, Gio. Yeah, just like that, it seems to have happened very quickly. In the realms now where Ignacio can actually start open shoving with lots and lots of hands, you know, playing against 15 big blind and 10 big blind stacks, it's going to be extremely difficult for Sean to call off jams, for example, knowing that there is a big pay jump coming. So I would expect, if he finds that adjustment, Ignacio to start open shoving with quite a lot of hands. As you can see, we have 18 minutes left on this blind level. We are 3-handed. There's a £9,000 pay jump, which is very chunky between second and third. Yeah, it really has just happened out of nowhere. All stacks were bunched, and now he's really, really putting his foot down.
Yeah, maybe an interesting spot there as well. I don't know what your thoughts were with the Queen Deuce. Because of the exact distribution where you've got 15 on your direct left, so he's not going to be able to call off that wide. And then Endrit with 10 in the big blind, potentially queen deuce suited could have just been an open jam there. You do get to be extremely aggressive in this kind of situation. And I know with that big blind ante in play as well, there's even more incentive to go for it.
Yep, for sure could have been an option to pile. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how it develops and if he really starts putting the hammer down.
Yeah. Oh, there's the wry smile and the check back again. Once you said not usually seeing a raise once you get this kind of camaraderie mid-hand.
The old wink, we saw it earlier.
Yeah, and I think Endrit has no option but to stab this flop. He's got one heart in his hand. He's got a couple of backdoor straight draws working for him, just targeting this kind of exact hand, the queen highs, the king highs. Whoa!
Wow, Ignacio reaching for chips. Can't imagine.
This.
Wow.
Wow, this guy
Not
is
having it out of Endrit.
on fire. Keeping Endrit honest here.
There are some turns that are going to work well for Endrit to continue the story. This could be one of them. You would imagine most of Ignacio's Jack X are going to fast play flop at depth. So he's going to have a bunch of 4 and 5X. Will have some flushes occasionally, but from the from the play style we've seen from him, Gio, may just fast play them for 9 bigs.
Yeah, and does Endrit now, who does arrive at this river with some amount of Jack X taking this line, maybe just kind of checking it over to his opponent. His opponent could have king high with one heart on the flop.
Does
elect to
wave
check
the white flag, and he's going to be disgusted to see Ignacio wake up with the queen deuce.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Perhaps finding a small turn bet, targeting maybe a hand like 5 and 4X with no heart, or a hand like queen high. Very difficult, obviously easy for us to say it in the booth, but it's all Ignacio, up to 85 million in chips, and Endrit in dire straits, needing a spin as we continue three-handed. Very unfortunate, and that spot, been in that spot before myself, Gio, he's going to be very frustrated by that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's unfortunate. It's really tough to see the hand that snap folds to any kind of sizing on the river end up winning at showdown there when we are so short. But he's going to have to regroup here nice and quickly. Can't really jam the 6-3. Just praying for some kind of brutal collision between the other two players here.
Yeah.
And they both have somewhat playable holdings.
So this hand here, for example, would be a very easy hand to just jam.
Yeah.
Basically impossible for Sean to call off, with the sort of mid-range value hands are all going to have to fold, with Endrit being on 6 bigs. Potentially even hands as strong as like ace jack, pocket 8s.
Yeah.
They're all going to have to fold if they want to obey the ICM overlords, but does just get it done with the open.
Yeah, does elect to go for a slightly different strategy, which in an exploitative sense is quite nice as well. Understands that Sean is going to be extremely honest with the rejam, so just kind of prodding at him with the 2.5x open there, expecting a lot of folds. Oh, wow. This could be money for Mr. Getchy in seat 1.
Well, we are about to test out what I just said. Will Sean fold a hand like ace jack in a 3-handed game? We're about to find out. Ignacio does come in for min raise now. It looks as if Sean is feeling.
The instincts of Sean here are absolutely incredible. Obviously, he's probably not been able to get away from an ace-high flop, but just the metal on the man not to be finding that rejam. I'd be beating Ignacio into the pot there with all my chips, but he does manage to dodge it.
Is interesting. We will also dominate a bunch of the nonsense sort of lighter opens from Ignacio by calling.
That's true.
Electing not to 3-bet jam pre-flop. I believe Ignacio bet the turn.
Yeah, and Sean actually with an interesting comment there. He said, if we were head-to-head, you'd never see any of these flops. Just kind of recognizing the fact that Endrit being so short and just showing that kind of awareness of the fact that maybe he doesn't want to put his life on the line.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. Should definitely be playing very tight. Andreasen looking for some heat. Deep in the danger zone now, 4 big blinds, although if he can double, will be very close to Sean. Ignacio, 94 million, has just absolutely obliterated this last hour or so.
Yep, absolutely. He's been the man in form and does get a walk from Endrit, just the jack high there. Not looking to take that one. Going to give himself 1 or 2 more options to wait for a better holding. Kind of assuming that he's not going to have any fold equity there. And still some small chance that the 2 other players do collide and Ignacio could potentially knock Sean out. So Endrit just passing up that one, and he's going to be needing a hand very quickly here.
Yeah, it seems like a very reasonable fold. One positive is that when he does fold the button, Ignacio should be shoving on Sean constantly to keep him relatively short.
Yeah.
But waking up,
wow.
and here we go. This is a spot. Ignacio with a very mandatory, in my opinion, all-in pre.
Absolutely. What? Oh, he's limping. No.
Yeah, he is using a different strategy.
How are these guys dodging it? It's incredible, isn't it? Just some sort of like higher power awareness. All of these spots that classically would just be taken at full frequency, ending up going to the streets.
Yeah, Sean with the passive check back does turn Broadway. There is no way Ignacio can know he's behind, and we somehow check to the river.
Back. Wow, what is going on here?
Sean gonna have a very clear river raise. I hope he takes his time and finds it. Does just call.
5.7 million, Sean called.
Did overbet river, Ignacio.
Is he going to have a penalty for this?
Nah, there's a 5 on the river pair on the board, so it's not.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I missed the paired board. My bad.
Oh, there is. Sorry.
Yeah, the dealers missed it as well.
We was thinking it's
Yeah, would have liked to see Sean take a little bit more time there.
Yeah.
Even on the pair board, basically has the effect of nuts. He could get paid off by a hand like 5x if indeed Ignacio had it.
Exactly.
Does pick up a nice pot. Boosts himself up to 28 million.
Yeah. It's for the players more than me. The players said it first. Yeah. That's alright. That's alright.
Guys, would encourage you in the chat not to give spoilers. Like the experience for everybody to be able to sweat the outcomes. So please try to refrain if you can. We are 3-handed here in the Festival Series main event. From dusk till dawn in Nottingham, Ignacio Menendez putting on a clinic here, 3-handed with a huge chip lead. Does lose a small one there to Sean, but still in a commanding position.
Cool. Option. Check. Call and check. Heads up.
Do have a limp from Sean. It's very surprising. Endrit with only 1.5 bigs behind. Sean does get the opportunity to fold post.
Sean kind of retreating into his shell a little bit, we've seen in this 3-handed match. Checking back the ace-jack, just calling the river with the nut straight there. Not jamming the ace-jack versus the button open. Really looking to make that heads up at this point, which is understandable. It's obviously going to be a big payday, and he doesn't want any chance of busting, and that's been sort of key in his game plan. But yeah, not sure about the limp there. They're about 2.5, 3 big blinds effective, right?
Yeah, I think we do just want to run that spot. 10-6 is going to do more than fine against the 1.5 bigs of Endrit. Be interested to look at that ace-jack spot pre. I think it might actually be fine not to rejam. Have to have a look, but yeah, I think so. Now Sean with the ace-4. Endrit does find the dominating spot. He will be hoping to find the spin-up.
Yeah, we'll probably be going 3 ways here as well. very incentivized to flick in the call and try and check it down and knock out the third stack.
Yeah, very likely to go three-way. We don't know Ignacio's holdings as of yet.
Yeah, probably going to be any two, isn't it?
Guys, we will be going on a break in around about 8 minutes' time. So please stick with us as we continue the journey to crowning our champion here in Nottingham. Endrick, can you find the triple up? Ignacio does overcall with the 8 deuce.
Yeah, he's called the over 3x from Sean, just really wanting to knock Endrick out at this point. With I didn't realize Sean had made it so big. King 4, that's coming up trumps for Sean at the moment. Danger for Endrick.
Yeah, does flop. Endrick is gonna need an ace or a queen. Ace will still be good with the paired board kings. Ignacio rivering an 8, and unfortunately for Endrick, that is indeed good game.
Yeah, that's
Endrick finishes in 3rd place in the main event. Played very well, not too many premium holdings, managed to navigate the final table up to 3rd, and does take home £18,250. GG Endrick, well played, good run. We are heads up.
We are indeed. Huge amount of money to be played for here. The difference between about 15k in this heads up match. Sean going in as a sort of 3.5 to 1 underdog. Going to be interesting to see if he does indeed sort of loosen up and get back into the swing of things. Had been playing quite tight in that three-handed match. Just aware of the fact that Endrick was lurking there with the short stack. And, well, regardless, he's navigated it well. Here he is in the final two. So let's see what develops. Unfortunate one there for my good friend Endrick. As you say, didn't have too much to play with, and yeah, just that hand where he allowed Ignacio to kind of see the river or see the showdown with the queen high was a bit of a turning point.
Yeah, a couple of critical hands. And guys, we are heads up. Ignacio Menendez versus Sean O'Donnell for the title. Sean around about a 4 to 1 underdog, and there are worse places to be than picking up pocket jacks. First hand of heads up. Ignacio on the button with the 10-3 of diamonds.
Raised to 4 million.
Does raise to 4 million, 2.5 bigs. Sean around about 15 bigs deep.
If I went to 4 million.
Goes for the non-all-in 3-bet. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think if he's just putting the cogs into motion here, ooh, does continue, just can't resist the price. But if you really think about it, what are we expecting Sean to find a non-all-in 3-bet with here? Could very well be exactly what it looks like, which is the hand he's holding.
Could unfortunately be Ignacio's first real misstep for some time.
Yeah.
Very speculative. Deciding to call in position. Sean now with around about 2/3 pot back. Flop does come king 9-9.
Yeah.
Just sends it.
If we get called here, we're out. But
yeah, not a big fan of this jam.
Yeah.
Does decide to, and I don't think we ever accomplish much. Better hands never fold. Worse hands always fold.
Yeah, you'd much rather his, I don't know, 8-7 suited or whatever he could have, turning some sort of pair and going from there. But Sean deciding, you know what, I've got jacks pre-flop. I hate the flop, but if you got it, pal. I'm all in.
Yeah, deciding to go the protection route. Does end up working out, picks up the pot, and, you know, picks up 10 million from Ignacio. Ignacio maybe on a little bit of winner's tilt there, Gio, you know, just thinking, you know what, I'm going to peel. Sure, I'm going to peel in position, you know. In any case.
Take him to the streets.
Definitely not impossible for Sean to recover here. Up to around about 23 bigs. Limps with the ace-9.
Yeah, he's got it back to about 2.5 to 1, just in one hand.
Check.
Ignacio checking his option with 7-8. Flop does go check. Sean turns the ace. Ignacio drawing dead. Does find a turn check. Very deceptive. Looking to induce a bluff, and it's going to work
Gets
beautifully.
it.
2.7.
Very nice play from Sean. Showing the awareness to find a check on the turn.
Yeah, very tricky customer, Sean. He's played different styles throughout the final table. Now I think he thinks that Ignacio is out of line here and just wants to give him as much rope as possible by the looks of it.
Very nicely played, and just like that, now only a 2-1 deficit for Sean. Shows you in heads up how quickly it can change. Guys, we're heads up. Main event, Festival Series, final table. We are coming to you on a 30-minute delay from dusk till dawn, right here in Nottingham. We have Ignacio Menendez against Sean O'Donnell for the title. Myself, Andrew Headley, and Mr. George Sanford in the booth. We're going to be taking a short break in a few minutes.
Absolutely.
And then we will be back in around about 20 minutes time to, finish the conclusion of Heads Up. Thank you for joining, and we hope you'll stay with us to the end of the tournament where we crown our champion.
We certainly do. It's been a great action-packed feature table.
All in.
Good awareness from the local team. Ooh. Or are we? No, I don't think Sean's going to flick it in here with the ace.
Ignacio just open jamming the button.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that. 25 big blinds effective.
Now this is a little strange. You don't normally see an open pile for 25.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of the Jeff Gross momentum shove, you know? He's kind of lost a few pots. Why not just rip it in and pick up the 2BB?
The old momentum shove. Wow, those were indeed the days.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite clips on YouTube, actually. I go back to that whenever I'm having a hard time. Just going to send in the momentum shove here, keep them guessing.
Little momentum. Let's keep up our momentum, Gio, on that note.
Absolutely.
Sean with the 10-7 does complete. He has not acted yet, excuse me.
Yeah, Sean just, by the looks of it, looking to take it post-flop, and we do remove the big blind ante, actually, beg my pardon. So we are just playing the classical structure. I've played, I think, in previous runs, we have had big blind ante and heads up, and I do like to see it removed. It allows more play, and it kind of is a little bit of a flawed format in some ways, because the small blind's just basically supposed to complete everything, and you do get a sort of slightly lower, distorted average big blind compared to what they actually have.
Back into the action we go. Ignacio with the suited King 7 of diamonds does elect to limp. Sean checking his Queen 8.
Interesting one from Ignacio. I'd have liked to have seen an open here, playing 25 BB versus an opponent that is likely under 3-betting. Going to realise a lot of our equity there.
Yeah,
and,
I think we can go either way. But for sure it can open. Sean gonna go ahead and start betting for value on the turn. Very natural turn bet with the Queen 8.
Yep.
Ignacio with a little bit too much equity to fold turn. Does call. River is a blank, and it's another pot heading the way of Sean. If you can definitely find a value bet here.
Still coming up trumps for Sean at the moment. That's a lot of pots he's won in the last 5 hands or so.
Perhaps a little inexperienced heads up there. I think he did check River. Would like to have seen a value bet for sure with the Queen.
Yeah. We do essentially have the nuts, but nevertheless, it's a 2-1 advantage for Ignacio as we head to the break.
Absolutely, Gio. So, guys, we are going to be taking a short break. Myself and Gio will go and get fed and watered. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. We will be back in 20 minutes' time to see the conclusion of the heads up between Ignacio and Sean. So please join us then, back in 20.
both in the money.
We're in the money, yeah?
Listen, if we both get kind of equal, we could do a deal. But if not, I understand you don't want to do a deal.
If you think,
Yeah.
the problem is like, if you get, right? If you get to my point, like...
Yeah, then
right?
we'll do.
But you know, understand, and now I have like...
I understand. Don't worry.
That's
It's the way the ante is. That's fine.
that's the only thing, mate, you know?
No, you're fine. I would say the same as you actually.
Well play your Broadway, fucking love you, man. You're chicken. See, you're too good. You're too fucking good.
Yeah, what I say? Play.
Oh my god.
I say play for a bit, see how it goes. Then you get weaker, saying, "No, I don't think so." Anyway, we've had a good time anyway.
If you shot with your Broadway, I don't know. No, you got your Broadway, right? Remember the hand with your Broadway? Remember?
Okay, everybody, we are back.
No, I'm not thinking about.
Back here. Heads up. Festival Series main event.
1 million, 2 million.
There we go.
George hardly even had time to make a cup of tea.
Nah, it's okay.
It's like the break in an online
It's-
session. Long enough for me anymore. I'm getting
Yeah,
too old, running around like a headless chicken.
5-minute break that feels like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Is it? I thought we said there's no auntie.
I don't know. Yes, it is.
Kevin,
Is it small blind, big blind? Yeah.
no auntie, right?
Yeah, you're only putting one ante in.
George, are you with me?
Said no auntie, right?
I'm with you. Can you hear me?
No auntie, yeah, that's what.
I can hear you. Just a few technical difficulties there, guys. We are back in action.
Party.
This is myself, Andrew Headley, and George Sanford. We're heads up, back to see the conclusion of this heads up battle between Ignacio Menendez and Mr. Sean O'Donnell, playing for the Festival Series Championship title here in Nottingham. £42,500 for the winner. A good £15,000 difference between second and first, George. Do you reckon this will have an effect on their play?
Yeah, absolutely. From what we've seen from Sean anyway, he's been very cautious once the money has skyrocketed.
2 million.
And once again, some passive looking action with two
Did
pretty
we have a
strong...
limp and a check?
Yeah, some pretty passive actions with two strong looking hands here. Ignacio flopping the set and just taking it down with one bet.
So it was
Chips
2 million.
have started not to fly around as they did earlier.
And then he bet and Sean fold. 2 million.
Yeah, very interesting there to see neither a raise from the King Jack or a raise from eights. Shocked to see that Ignacio does not bump that up.
Yeah,
Facing a limp from Sean.
both
anyway.
big premiums there.
Yeah,
Big
very
premiums
big
in
hands
that.
and heads up. As we can see, guys, the blinds are 1 and 2 million. Sean with around about 20 big blinds and Ignacio around about 40. Shouldn't be the longest of heads up battles, bearing in mind we're quite shallow. But
Absolutely.
as we all know, heads up action,
Sorry?
anything can happen. It can be very swingy. Be intriguing to see how this one plays out. Guys, we are coming to you from Dusk Till Dawn Card Room in Nottingham. This is the heads up of our concluding event, our flagship main event. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. Thank you so much for joining us. Anybody in the Twitch and YouTube streets, please feel free to continue to interact with myself and Gio. We will be here to the conclusion. We're going to crown our champion of this year's Nottingham edition of the Festival Series.
Certainly will, and again, two pretty strong holdings.
Sí. Perfecto.
Heads up going to a flop and another limp pot. Both players are kind of trying to outlast each other, it seems, and Sean with the check mark now, 2 pair on the turn. Just going to take it down with 1 bet.
Yeah, very intriguing. Being interesting to see which player blinks first and, you know, really changes gears and puts their foot down. It does seem as if the pressure is sort of just off. Both of them just sitting there absolutely delighted. Funny to contrast with 8-handed play where nobody was talking to each other whatsoever. I guess the fact, Gio, that they have both locked up, what, the best part of £30,000. The pressure's off, but don't you think it sometimes can be dangerous? You know, there's a 15k more on the line. You want to keep your focus, right? These are the important moments.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to now take a step forward and remember that you've only got one opponent, so no need for all of the passive actions. But again, it could just be a byproduct of the money we're playing for and the fact that the players are taking some time to kind of feel each other out and see how both players sort of develop their game into this heads-up format.
There's no way
And
you can't
again-
have checked here. No. What is
an-
happening? Ignacio, you were going
Wow.
ballistic earlier. There's no
Yeah.
way he's checked, has he?
What is going on here? We're playing limit hold'em by the looks of things.
I mean, it's going to end up working in terms of action.
Yeah, he's going to get it. He's going to look to
Could this be an error in the graphics? A little confusing here.
maybe.
In fairness, I don't think a raise went in pre. And making it a challenge for us to commentate on this one, Gio.
Yeah, we're going to be here till 4 a.m. by the looks of things.
I would have got every decision wrong.
Yeah, and
Okay,
here
it
we
looks
go.
like Sean has bet called flop.
Yeah,
Can't blame him,
backdoor-
really. Middle
backdoor
pair
flop.
and a gutter. Ignacio, no messing around. His pile. It's Sean
Oh,
snapped
it's
it off.
fouled! He snapped it off! What's
This
going
could
on?
be it. Is the graphic correct? That looked like a man who had the nuts.
Yeah, Ignacio jammed and Sean
He looks
snap called.
happy. What has happened? It's a limp pot, and all of a sudden we're in. Ignacio, 61% to win the title right now.
Wow!
Oh, Sean has got there. Oh my days.
I'm speechless.
Massive momentum swing, drills the deuce of diamonds river, and he is up to 84 million. Gio, what just happened?
I can't believe it. No one wants to put a chip in free, but if we're on the turn, pair versus pair, on a very dicey board, the chips are flying in for more than the pot. It is insanity happening here at the Festival Series main event heads up. A little friendly bump
Wow.
of the fist afterwards. But yeah, Ignacio, when he ripped it there, he realized that he'd made a sizing error, because when you do get snap called there, you're so fortunate to see a hand like this.
Yeah, absolutely shocked there. When the way Sean snapped it off, it looked as if he turned a flush.
Yeah, from based on how he's played, but I mean, maybe it's just I've got no words. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand the logic. If we're very sort of trepidatious pre-flop, and then all of a sudden just kind of snapping it off with the pair gutty flush draw on the turn for the lot, I don't see the synergy in that strategy. But it does work out for Sean, drilling that deuce of diamonds and a big momentum swing.
An insanely wild hand, as you see our resident TD equalizing the stacks, getting the correct accurate count. All of a sudden, Sean O'Donnell, you are more than a 2-1 favourite to win this title.
Yeah,
It's all been going Ignacio's way, Gio, but a big momentum shift.
absolutely. Crazy hand that. I wasn't expecting anything like that. When we did see the flop, obviously a little bit of potential for Sean there with the gut shot, the pair, the backdoor flush draw, but chips absolutely flying in on the turn. And wow, what a momentum shift there for Sean as he makes a stand and just snaps him off. Says, "I don't believe you, pal."
Yeah, crazy, crazy hand. All of a sudden, Sean in great shape. Still a little bit of a loss for words.
Wow,
And
look at
here we
this.
go. This is a huge cooler. Ignacio, ace king against ace queen.
He's just moved it in.
What is happening? We have an all-in and call.
Oh my word! These guys are
Wow,
playing it
just
like it's
that.
just like a home game.
Just like that, Ignacio in shape to flip-flop the stacks back. Massive cooler here, heads up. Sean looking for a queen to capture the title. Absolute scenes here at Dusk till Dawn.
I can't believe what I'm seeing. We had this very limpy, very trappy, very passive game that all of a sudden has just descended into chaos. What is going on here? Absolute insanity.
Do you have an all-in and a call confirmed? Jack 8 deuce club.
Yeah, a
Sean
little
with
bit of
some
hope.
backdoors working for him. They need some kind of backdoor straight or a backdoor flush. Turn is a complete brick. Looking for one of the remaining 3 queens. Does not find it. And Ignacio, you were poor for precisely one hand, my friend. is back, and the chip stacks have basically
Look
flip-flopped.
at this. Both players, just the emotions getting the better of them. Both on their seat. Ignacio going for a warm-up now, back in the hot seat. And Sean saying, well, I can't fold. Queen for the lot.
Let's just chop it, man. Whatever it is. I've got more than you anyway.
And now the excitement has become too much for Sean. He's just saying, look, let's just chop it. And I think that is going to be the start of some potential deal negotiations by the looks of it. I mean, we've seen all sorts in this heads-up match. We've seen wildly aggressive play, we've seen wildly passive play, and now I think the excitement of all of this has got the better of both of them, and we might see a little bit of a calm down and some of the numbers coming into the fray.
It does look like they are going to discuss a deal. Incredible series of events there, Gio. Like you said, it was very passive, slow-paced, and out of nowhere, just an explosion of action.
Yeah, wow. It looks like we might be taking a short break. Looks like Ignacio has agreed, based on the body language, to the deal. Yeah, we do have the TD here, looking at the chip counts, so we are going to be getting some form of ICM deal. We'll let you know the numbers as this situation develops.
Do see the TD running the numbers. Looks as if a deal is going to be discussed. And while we wait to receive those numbers, guys, our flagship festival series is heading to Malta, May 15th to 21st. Satellites and qualifiers, I believe, already running. The schedule was just released this week. Get yourself over to thefestival.com for all the information you're going to need about schedules, qualifiers, accommodation, etc. Get yourself firing up Skyscanner. Get the early flights booked. We are off to Malta in the late spring. Would you call that late spring, early summer,
I'd
Gio?
say so. Descending into an early summer for sure, in the remnants of May. And yeah, absolutely. Couldn't pick a better location with that time frame either. Malta will be burning in the late May there.
Yes,
So
indeed.
get yourself over there. And as you say, a shrewd pick to get on the Skyscanner right now, lock up those tickets. It is actually going to be probably under €100 return if you do pick the timing well, just about from anywhere in Europe. So I'll be there and I'll be booking mine pronto, that's for sure. Hope to see you there.
You love to hear it. Yeah, check that out, guys. We are going to be in Malta in May. And for anything else festival related, of course, thefestival.com, as we have just referenced. Get yourself on there. All the information you could possibly need in terms of Dusk Till Dawn. Please check out our social media at DTD Club and at DTD Live. That's on Twitter and Instagram. The Festival Series socials at the Festival OG for all the information your heart could possibly desire, Mr. Sanford.
Absolutely. Couldn't have put it better myself, sir. So it looks like the TD is engrossed in some very active conversations here. Ignacio is on his feet once again. Little furrow of the brow as maybe we get into a little bit of politics and who's taking more, and the handshake is dealt.
The hands have been shaken, and I do, in fact, have the numbers filtering through. If you bear with me. Yes, indeed. So they have shaken hands on a deal, and it's going to be Ignacio taking home £34,345, very precise, and Sean with £31,155. and they are going to play on for £4,250 and the trophy. So there we go. Deal is done. Both players taking home upwards of £30,000. And yeah, still though, 42.50 more to play for, plus the trophy. Lots of money still on the line, Gio. You would want to keep your focus. Still almost the best part of £5,000 up for grabs.
Yeah, considering it was a 450 buy-in, it's really important not to get too carried away in this situation and kind of treat it as like a celebration lap. Still a lot of money to be played for, and that's going to be the deciding factor in who walks away with the lion's share here. Both chopping up a really solid amount. We've still got a bit of a game in front of us. And based on what we've seen over the last few hands, I wouldn't be surprised if the chips are flying in now. Both players looking very comfortable. Look at Ignacio there, just kind of draped over that chair.
He's kicking back, he's relaxed.
Yeah,
He's
he
locked
was.
up the monies.
Now all to play for in terms of who's going to get that first on Hendon Mob, who's going to lift the title, and who's going to get all of the plaudits. And of course, the media interview afterwards with some of our team.
Absolutely. So we're just waiting for play to get back underway. Dotting some T's, crossing some I's. No, crossing some T's, dotting some I's.
It's late, I'll let you off.
Still flummoxed. I'm still flummoxed, Gio. It's been a long week. We just saw absolutely barnstorming action. Deal has been made. Rest assured, we have to retain our focus, Gio. Bring the comps home in strong fashion.
Absolutely, can't blame you for that whatsoever. It's been a rip-roaring last 10-15 minutes or so.
Absolutely crazy.
Hey, I've won about 50 grand. Come on then, where are we?
Just got to wait for Kev to come back. Just got to take cash just now.
Sean, really looking to just get on with it. He's like, I've locked it up. Come on then, let's battle for the rest. And just the body language, I think, indicates that we're going to see a pretty fast-paced heads up for the rest. They have locked up the big payout. Going to be interesting to see what develops.
Yeah, for sure, it is a long week. Can understand how the lads are ready to get it done. So we are back heads up now, guys. Deal has been done. 34k to Ignacio, 31k to Mr. Sean O'Donnell. Playing out for just under 5k. And our Festival Series trophy. We are at Dusk Till Dawn card room, guys, on a 30-minute delay. This is heads up coverage of the main event. Our final event of the week.
Absolutely, and here's Sean picking up the King Jack suited, 20 big blinds effective, straight back into it with another premium heads up holding. Just goes for the massive raise. Yeah, I think
huge size.
Kind of what we expected, right? Based on the last 5 hands or so, that's for sure. Just two guys now that are just going to battle it out for the rest of the money.
Yes, indeed. As you see there, the graphic in front of you, Ignacio, 76 million. Sean behind on 45 mil, working with around 22 big blinds. I'm going to predict a quick heads up now, George. Looks like they're both ready to go.
It does, yeah. Both of them have had the handshake. They've locked up a lot of money, and there's a lot of sort of joy in the air as both of them rejoice over their big score and now look to finish the job.
Joy is in the air.
He's just flipping it with the... Oh, he's got the ace-2. I got the hands the wrong way around. I thought it was the jack-7 that was moving in there. But no, Sean actually with a pretty strong rejam there. I like that.
Does move it in. Picking up a nice pot. Hannah says any deal's been done. Yes, indeed. 34k to Ignacio, 31k to Sean, playing for 42.50 plus the Festival Series Nottingham trophy.
Yeah, we certainly are.
Short pass.
Sean, with the 9-5 on the button, does elect to just give Ignacio a walk.
Yeah, a little bit on the more conservative side, so action slightly slowing down a little bit. I think a hand like that, you do want to VPIP in some form.
What a coin flip, man. Sorry? What a coin flip, right? That's two players. It's like such a coin flip. You said that.
Yeah, not too many hands being folded heads up.
Yeah, I don't know why.
We have seen Sean with a somewhat passive style.
Yeah, erratic. Definitely can pull the trigger when it comes to it. If he's got some sort of decent equity, he looks to play for all the chips. And Ignacio here making it 4 million. Sean calling. And we do go to the flop. Queens versus
Wow.
10-5.
This could be trouble for Sean. Does pick up bottom pair.
4 million. That's cool.
Very quick check call. Ignacio just shot him the look as if to say, why are you calling, my friend?
Yeah, what are you doing? How dare you?
Sean does pick up a gut shot to go with his pair of fives. And wow, Ignacio just sends it. 2x pot all in.
My word. I know it's been crazy, but surely Sean doesn't flick it in
Oh,
here with the
no,
gassy
Sean.
bottom pair. He looks like he wants to. Looks like a man that's had a good run and just fancies a spin.
5 seconds.
Wow. Oh, it's a
Oh,
time.
that's a
I thought
time
it was the
cut.
one. Thought it was the one chip call.
Oh, I've run out of predictions for this FT. Anything could happen at this stage. I
Oh,
wouldn't be
goodness me,
surprised.
are we going to see the biggest hero call of the week?
I'm glad I got a tell on you.
Really? You're gonna tell me later.
No, I
You're
can't.
gonna tell me
I'll
later.
tell you later then, yeah?
Yeah.
Only if you admit it, because I'll watch the TV and see what I was right.
You're right.
Remember this hand, and I'll tell you what your
Pray
tell
for.
is.
I'm not gonna lie. Pray for.
Okay, if you
Wow, did you hear that table
I'll
audio?
be able to see.
Now?
Not now, not now.
What did he say?
He said he's got a tell on him, and he'll tell him after they've finished playing the heads up, and he does make the correct laydown. And you know what? That does align with that ace-jack just call when they were three-handed.
Yeah, you got a tell, bud.
What did I say? Oh, I got queens. Something
No,
like
no,
that.
it's very subtle. No,
I didn't say, oh, queens. No.
no, it's very subtle. It's very subtle. I don't think.
Can hear the audio now filtering through.
And Sean giving him a little bit of table talk here, trying to get him uncomfortable, saying, I've got to tell on you. That's a very unsettling thing to hear from a heads-up opponent.
It sure is.
Better, yeah?
Very nice.
Yes. You know I'm gonna play that.
Of course, I heard you tell.
Ah, interesting. Okay. That's the way it is.
This is gold.
Very interested table talk. And on comes the hat.
Yeah, maybe he thinks that's going to be the catalyst to get it done in this situation. He's going to rep the festival. He's going to say, I'm the ambassador for the festival. I'm going to win. I'm going to see it out. Gets the hat on, and it's strictly business now. He knows he's got to tell. Maybe he's trying to cover up. Yeah, look at this. It's a much more of a stoic table presence.
Wow.
Man, with just a couple of words, completely put back into his shell there.
After such a serious day, George, I feel like the lunatics are running the asylum. I've got no idea what is happening now.
No, neither, but I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Me too, my friend Ignacio now with the 9-6, electing not to see bets.
He's spooked out by the table talk. I'm sure earlier he would have c-bet this board every single time. And now Sean just sat there with the open body language and the wry smile, and Ignacio's kind of sort of retreated back into his shell somewhat.
He may indeed be spooked, but not enough to not bet the turn.
Good man.
Ignacio taking it down, back up to 85 million.
Okay.
What's the tell?
Oh, you haven't got any.
Oh, he's still asking what the tell is. This is brilliant. Sean knows he's got his man exactly where he wants him now.
Oh, yeah.
All in?
Yeah, show code. Ignatius all in. Ignatius all in, show code. So all in code. Yeah. Are you back, speech, guys?
All in and a call.
Yeah, where do you go? Fucking
I
nice.
will get started.
Holy moly, this could be it. Ace-8 of diamonds for Sean. King-7 offsuit for Ignacio.
I'm in front for how
This
long?
is it.
An ace, please.
I take a 7.
Give him a 7, I'll have an ace.
Cards are on their back.
Ignacio needs a king or a 7. He does hit it, but Sean with the nut flush draw and
Wow.
2 overs to Ignacio's pair. Actually
fun.
a small favourite.
What a final table sweat. Look at the
Turn
deuce.
is a
Ace
brick.
for a diamond.
Can Nacho hold for the win?
Yes!
And he does. No, Sean thinks he's won, but Ignacio has rivered the full house.
What am I sitting there for? Well done.
Oh my days, what a river card. Sean
can't
makes
write
the
it.
nut flush,
Wow.
but Ignacio making the full house, and it is all over. Ignacio, he has done it. So with that extra 42.50, £4,250 and the trophy up top, Ignacio is going to win 36, no more in fact, £38,500. And Ignacio Menendez, you are our Festival Series main event champion. Massive congrats. Go to
Very.
Ignacio, played extremely well, Gio.
Very well played, sir. And just, yeah, that couldn't sum up this final table anymore. One guy thinks he's won, back in the seat. The other guy's already doing the victory lap around the casino. It just has been absolute chaos. And we were here for every second of it. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been an absolute blast to commentate on such a ferocious final table.
Absolutely insane. Oh, poor Sean. He saw the diamond, George. Saw the diamond smash the river. But unfortunately for him, it does pair the board. So, guys, that is it. We are officially done for the week. And it has been an amazing week at that. Thank you to everybody for joining us. Just a few people to thank now before we finish up. Firstly, would love to thank Dusk Till Dawn and all of the crew, dealers, bartenders, reception crew, everybody who has been a part of the week down at DTD, Cash Desk, you guys too, the 24-hour production crew, the poker listings crew, the Hendon Mob crew, the floor and the management, and last but not least, thank you to all of the players. The festival series would not be the fun magic event that it is beginning to grow into without you guys. So thank you so much. Other than that, big thanks to what a time to have a little microphone malfunction. Hopefully
We're
I'm
hanging
back.
on to your every word.
Unbelievable. I know I'd launched impassionedly. Thank you to everybody who has been reporting on the event. Without you, it would not be possible. Also, and apart from that, who else is there to thank? George, I'm going to have to give you some love. And in fact, before I give you love, I think we should thank Mr. Manuel Zapf. Joined me in the booth all week for the first 5 days before George tagged in for the weekend. Did a fantastic job. Thank you to him. Yeah, all that remains to do, Gio, is to say thank you very much, buddy. It has been a pleasure.
No
And
problem
I
at
look
all.
forward to working with you again soon, my man.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the next team up. It's been a rip-roaring action, a lot of fun, great synergy in the booth. I've really enjoyed every second of it. Just wanted to thank you guys watching from home as well, cheering on some of your friends or just tuning in for the festival stream. Remember to try and qualify and get yourself over to the next series. We will be in Malta from the 15th to the 21st of May. All of the info, as we've said many times now, on thefestival.com. Super important to see yourself there, and potentially you could be clinching the main event title like our friend Ignacio there. Great stuff. Really enjoyed the week. Thanks very much, Andrew. You've done an outstanding job, and it's been more than a pleasure to join you on this journey.
Thank you very much, buddy. It's been great to have you here. And that is it, guys. Fair play to Gio. Fair play, Manuel. Frankia, you've created a corker. Guys, we hope to see you next time. We'll see you in Malta. And until then, it's goodbye from us at the Festival Series. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.
Good night.